Chapter 3630. Severed the second shackle. Lu Ming muttered to himself. This golden-winged man was not to be underestimated. Lu Ming was able to determine his strength as soon as they exchanged blows. The golden-winged man had awakened his divine origin power factor 5 times and severed the second shackle of his origin secret technique. Apart from Ao Guan, this was the most powerful prodigy that Lu Ming had seen so far. Indeed, he could not underestimate these powerful races. The stronger the race, the stronger the bloodline talent. In other words, they were closer to the primordial god spirit. Therefore, it was easier for these races to comprehend the primordial god power factor and cultivate the primordial god spirit secret technique. This was the power of their bloodline talents. Your origin secret technique has also severed the second shackle? The golden-winged man growled in disbelief. Kill? Lu Ming could not be bothered to talk nonsense with him. He waved the Overlord God's spear and charged forward. Don't think that you can fight me. Kill. The golden-winged man roared and charged towards Lu Ming. Golden divine light danced in the sky and turned into a dazzling golden divine sword that slashed towards Lu Ming. Clang, clang. The two clashed continuously. After exchanging more than 10 blows, Lu Ming had completely gained the upper hand and forced the golden-winged man to retreat. Brother Yi, let me help you. At this moment, a hoarse voice could be heard, following which clanging sounds could be heard. A gush of powerful and strange energy charged toward Lu Ming's soul. Wu people. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. This Wu people's strength was also very shocking. He was probably a prodigy that was on par with the golden-winged man. His soul attack was even more terrifying. If it were anyone else, they would definitely be greatly affected or even have their soul torn apart. However, Lu Ming was already prepared. When he heard the sound, Lu Ming's heart stirred and the heavenly evildoer bell appeared ringing. It was also a soul attack. It blocked the Wu people's soul attack. What? The second origin secret technique has also severed 2 shackles? The Wu people's prodigy's expression changed drastically. The expressions of the others also became very unsightly. They all came from powerful races, and they were all the prodigies of their races. They knew just how difficult it was to sever the second shackle of a secret technique. They relied on their powerful talents and vast amounts of resources to be able to achieve this at this age and at this realm. On the other hand, Lu Ming not only had many secret origin techniques, but also 2 of them had severed 2 shackles. This was quite astonishing. This person is a monster. I suggest that we attack together and take him down. The heavenly son of Wu people said gloomily. All right, let's attack together. I agree. The others nodded in agreement. However, just as the few of them were conversing, Lu Ming was already slaughtering the golden-winged race. Ring ring ring. The heavenly evildoer bell rang and a soul attack surged toward the golden-winged men. Although the golden-winged men had powerful soul defensive treasures, the heavenly evildoer bell had severed its shackles twice. Its power had become extremely terrifying. The golden-winged men were still affected and their bodies trembled slightly. Boom. The tyrant god's spear swept out and hit the golden-winged man. His body shook violently and he was sent flying, blood spurting out of his mouth. Kill? Lu Ming stepped forward. The primordial divine blood in his body was stimulated. His entire body seemed to have turned into a long spear as he charged toward the golden-winged man. Save me. The golden-winged man's face changed drastically. He felt a fatal threat from Lu Ming's spear. Attack. The heavenly son of Wu people and the others roared and attacked. However, it was too late. The spear rushed past and pierced through the golden-winged man's body, killing him instantly. Following that, Lu Ming stepped forward and rushed forward to avoid the attacks. You want to leave? Stop right there. A young lady screamed and waved her hands. Suddenly, a dozen vines rushed out from the lake under Lu Ming's feet. These vines were each as thick as an arm and had barbs on them. They wrapped around Lu Ming. Plant race. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. That lady was clearly a plant race. Plant races were very famous in the desolate universe. Some of them were very powerful. For example, this lady could make attacks rush out of the lake. One had to know that the lake water here wasn't ordinary. Lu Ming was careless and almost got entangled by the vines. The tyrant divine spear swept out and bombarded the vines. However, the vines shook and didn't explode. How tough. Lu Ming's heart stirred. His attack just now was powerful, but it didn't break these vines. It was clear how tough these vines were. Those who could reach this place couldn't be underestimated. Each one of them was shockingly strong. You won't be able to break through my vines. Just give up. The lady shouted. Her hair wasn't ordinary hair. It was also made of vines that looked like small snakes. They were constantly twisting and turning. It was extremely strange. Is that so? Lu Ming's expression didn't change. With a thought, the sun appeared. The nemesis of plant life was fire. The sun was full of yang energy and could definitely restrain plant life. Sure enough, as soon as the sun appeared, raging flames spread out toward the vines. Oh no! The lady screamed. The vines were enveloped by the flames and burned fiercely. Lu Ming swept out with his spear again and the vines exploded. Ding-ling-ling. The heavenly evildoer bell rang. A soul attack spread out and rushed toward the Sky Prides. However, the Wu people's Sky Pride struck the stone bell in his hand and also released a soul attack. It cancelled out the heavenly evildoer bell's soul attack. I'll block his soul attack. Don't worry and attack. The Wu people's Sky Prides shouted. Okay, kill? Kill him. The remaining dozen Sky Prides shouted and attacked. These people's strength was extremely shocking. They weren't weaker than the gold-winged man from before. Kill, kill, kill. Lu Ming roared and his strength erupted to the extreme. Now that he had activated the primordial divine blood, his strength was shocking and had reached the peak. In an instant, Lu Ming stabbed out more than a dozen spear lights and collided with the Sky Prides. More than a dozen terrifying explosions sounded and more than a dozen Sky Prides retreated. However, there were two young men who only swayed slightly but didn't retreat. As for Lu Ming, he retreated rapidly and stepped on the surface of the lake. He was almost blasted into the lake. 4th level Divine Lord Realm. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly and revealed a solemn look. The two Sky Prides who didn't retreat were already 4th level Divine Lords. These two Sky Prides hadn't used their full strength previously and pretended to be 3rd level Divine Lords. At this moment they suddenly attacked and wanted to kill Lu Ming in one fell swoop. Therefore at this moment the two of them were also very surprised. Lu Ming's combat strength was beyond their imagination. Chapter 36-31. The two 4th level Divine Lord geniuses were also quite surprised. They had kept a low profile previously and did not display outstanding strength. They wanted to suddenly erupt and kill Lu Ming in one fell swoop. They did not expect that under the siege of so many people, they would suddenly erupt and be blocked by Lu Ming. Amazing! A burly, dark-skinned young man exclaimed. The muscles all over his body bulged, filled with explosive power. This kid is too shocking. We have to get rid of him. The two of us will be the main attackers. You guys support from the side. The other 4th level Divine Lord youth wore a black robe and had a cold expression. When he looked at Lu Ming he was full of seriousness. Don't worry. Attack as much as you want. I will block his soul attack. The Wu people youth held a stone bell in his hand and stared coldly at Lu Ming. Attack. The black robe youth said coldly. His figure swayed and rushed toward Lu Ming like a gust of wind. Swoosh. His arm turned into a saber and slashed out. Demonic chi soared into the sky. Blade Demon Race. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. The Blade Demon Race was also a large race on the Primeval Universe's 10,000 races list. Moreover, it was ranked very high and had powerful talent. Boom. At the same time, the burly man also attacked. He stepped on the lake water like a cannonball. Every step crossed 100 meters as he rushed toward Lu Ming. Bind. The woman with the plant life form pressed her hands on the surface of the lake. A few vines appeared from the lake under Lu Ming's feet and wrapped around him. This attack method was very shocking. It seemed to ignore the distance between them and directly rushed out from under Lu Ming's feet. Lu Ming controlled the sun and suspended it around him, emitting thousands of rays of light. When the vines touched the rays of light, they burned fiercely. At the same time, the tyrant god's spear shook and stabbed out two spear lights at the black-robed youth and the burly youth. Break for me! The burly youth roared. With a mace in his hand he jumped up and smashed down with all his strength. The air exploded and the power was extremely shocking. The mace bore the brunt of the attack and collided with the spear light. At the same time, another spear light collided with the black-robed youth's saber light. Two huge explosions rang out, and a terrifying force swept out in all directions, stirring up the lake water below to a height of 30 meters. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Both sides were slightly shaken. Lu Ming's figure swayed and he took 3 steps back. However, the burly young man and the black-robed young man retreated more than a dozen steps. Even with the two of them working together, they were still at a disadvantage. Kill? The other experts also made their moves. All kinds of attacks blasted towards Lu Ming. The burly young man and the black-robed young man retreated. They stepped on the surface of the lake and charged toward Lu Ming. One terrifying attack after another enveloped Lu Ming. Each of these attacks was shockingly powerful. Lu Ming could not ignore them. If he was hit, even with his defensive power, his defenses would be broken. Wind-extinguishing boots. Lu Ming cast the Wind Destroyer boots and integrated them with his feet. His speed increased tremendously. He ran on the surface of the lake like a phantom, dodging the attacks one by one. Although he was greatly restricted on the lake surface, and the power of the wind-extinguishing boots could not be fully unleashed, Lu Ming's speed increased sharply, and he was not so passive. However, there were more than a dozen people on the other side, and they were all monsters among monsters. They quickly formed a formation and attacked Lu Ming from all directions. At the same time, the black-robed youth and the burly young man were the main attackers, and they engaged in close combat with Lu Ming. To be honest, the black-robed youth and the burly young man were really strong. These two people were also monsters among monsters. If their cultivation was at the 3rd level of the Divine Lord realm, they would definitely not be weaker than the Golden Winged Man from before. There were not many of these monsters even in the various large clans. In the entire primitive universe, their talents were top-notch. Although Lu Ming was powerful, especially during this period of time, he had made great progress in all aspects. However, when he encountered such a demon, he did not have a great advantage. For a moment, Lu Ming could not do anything to them. The two sides exchanged dozens of blows, but there was no clear winner. If I want to win, I have to get rid of that guy from the Wu people first. Lu Ming glanced at the Wu people young man. The Wu people young man had offset the attack of his Bell of Evil. As long as he got rid of this Wu people young man, his soul attack would be effective on the others. In this way he would have the upper hand. The two sides exchanged a few more blows. Suddenly Lu Ming's figure moved and he dashed in a certain direction. Of course, this was not the direction of the Wu people young man. Lu Ming was using a diversion tactic. As expected, those people were fooled. He wants to break out. Stop him. The burly young man roared, waving his mace and chasing after Lu Ming. The black-robed youth and several other youths also chased after Lu Ming, wanting to surround Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming suddenly turned around and used the wind-extinguishing boots to dodge the black-robed youth and the others. He charged at the Wu people young man. Oh no, his target is the witch medicine. The black-robed youth reacted the fastest. His expression changed and he turned around to chase after Lu Ming. However, he was still too slow. The Wu people young man's expression changed. He waved his hand and a large number of puppets appeared and charged at Lu Ming. At the same time, his hands moved, and there seemed to be countless fluorescent lights spreading out from his hands. These were goo worms. They were very small and dense and they charged at Lu Ming. Suppress. Lu Ming said coldly. The God's Gate flew out and floated in the air, suppressing heaven and earth. Lu Ming's body was covered in resplendent light as he pushed his divine power to the limit. The Tyrant God Spear in his hand continued to spin. Lu Ming gripped the Tyrant God Spear in the middle and made it spin, bringing with it a berserk energy that seemed to be able to cut through everything. Lu Ming charged past and the puppets and goo worms instantly turned to dust. Not good. The Wu people young man wanted to retreat and flee, but he found that his speed was far slower than Lu Ming's. Lu Ming flashed a few times and caught up to the Wu people young man, crushing him with the Tyrant God Spear. The young man from the sorcerer tribe quickly summoned a scarecrow substitute and tried to escape. However, he realized in despair that there was a terrifying suction force acting on the area, enveloping the entire area within it. His scarecrow substitute couldn't be used at all. This time he was really scared out of his wits. Save me. Save me. The young man from the sorcerer tribe screamed hysterically. He was so frightened that his face was contorted. However, even if the others wanted to save him, how could they make it in time? Boom. The Tyrant God Spear crushed down, and the Wu people young man screamed as his body exploded. His body and soul were destroyed. Come on. Lu Ming turned around and looked at the black-robed youth and the others who were rushing over with a cold smile. Ding-ling-ling. The heavenly evildoer bell kept ringing, forming invisible sound waves that spread out and enveloped the black-robed youth and the others. Chapter 36-32. The Bell of Evil's soul attack caused the black-robed youth and the others to tremble slightly. Their souls felt a sharp pain. The Bell of Evil had severed 2 shackles. Even if they had soul protection treasures, they could not completely block it. When their souls were attacked, their divine power would not be able to circulate smoothly. Naturally, their strength would be affected. Whoosh! Lu Ming rushed over and swept his spear towards the black-robed youth. The black-robed youth roared and slashed out with both his hands like knives. However, he was still affected. His combat strength was not at its peak. When he collided with the overbearing God's spear, his body shook violently and he was forced to retreat. Boom. Then Lu Ming struck out with his spear again. This time his spear was aimed at the burly youth. The burly youth followed in the footsteps of the black-robed youth and was forced to retreat. Lu Ming sent the two strongest people flying with one strike each. Then he continued to kill the rest of the people. Not good. Retreat. The other Sky Prides were shocked and retreated frantically. However, Lu Ming was now wearing the wind-extinguishing boots. How could their speed be as fast as Lu Ming's? He caught up with a black bull in a few steps and struck out with his overbearing god's spear. This black bull was very powerful and was not weaker than the golden winged man earlier. However, at this moment Lu Ming had unleashed his full combat power. He could not resist at all. When the spear landed, all of Black Bull's attacks and defenses were in vain. His body directly exploded. Then the overbearing god's spear was thrown out. It turned into a flash of lightning and caught up with a vine. This vine was the plant life form woman from before. She had transformed into her true form. The vines were like legs as she ran wildly on the surface of the lake. However, the tyrant god's spear rushed past and directly pierced through the vine's body. She let out an unwilling scream as her body exploded into vines that fell into the lake and disappeared. Lu Ming had killed 3 Sky Prides in a row. The remaining Sky Prides were scared out of their wits. Let's retreat first. The black-robed youth roared indignantly. He knew that without the masters of the Wu people holding back Lu Ming, they could no longer deal with Lu Ming. Only he and the burly young man could withstand Lu Ming's attacks in a head-on confrontation. The others could only be insta-killed by Lu Ming. A second-level Divine Lord person's combat strength was powerful to such an extent, it seriously made them alarmed. The black-robed young man spoke, and the others retreated madly, fleeing madly. I'll spare your lives this time. Lu Ming snorted coldly but did not pursue. He had a plan in mind, so he did not plan to kill all of them. Soon, the black-robed young man and the others disappeared. Boom. Lu Ming turned around and charged towards the 7-layered giant waves. The power of the 7-layered giant waves was very shocking. It was much stronger than the 6-layered giant waves. However, in the end it still couldn't stop Lu Ming. Lu Ming rushed over. After the 7th wave came the 8th wave. Apart from Lu Ming there was no one else. It's the last wave. Lu Ming was slightly taken aback. Because one could tell from the distance that this was the last wave. Passing through this wave would be that small island behind. Rumble. When Lu Ming approached, the 8-layered giant waves rushed towards Lu Ming frenziedly. Raging waves, the power was incomparably terrifying. Roar. Lu Ming let out a dragon roar. His body started transforming rapidly, turning into a divine dragon. The form of the primordial divine dragon, this was the primordial divine body. The tyrant god's spear turned into a beam of light, flying into the dragon horn of the primordial divine dragon, fusing together with the dragon horn. Lu Ming gave a loud cry and rushed towards the 8-layered giant waves. The dragon horn shone, dragon claws stepping on the air, the giant waves exploding continuously. Very soon a gap was opened up by Lu Ming. Lu Ming rushed through. 8-layered giant waves cleared. Off. Lu Ming breathed heavily. The 8-layered giant waves were not that easy to pass. Just now, Lu Ming had used almost all of his strength to barely pass through. After the 8-layered giant waves, everything was calm. A small island stood there quietly. The center of the island was emitting a dazzling light. Divine power was constantly pouring into the measure character formula, replenishing the divine power that Lu Ming had just consumed. This allowed Lu Ming to maintain his peak state. What is here? Lu Ming showed curiosity and anticipation as he rushed towards the island. There was nothing special on the island. There were some plants growing very densely. Hey, divine herbs. Suddenly Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He saw a divine herb that was extremely rich in life energy. Lu Ming did not hesitate to pluck it and put it away. Then he started to wander around. This island was incomparably rich in divine energy, just like the Black Dragon Valley. After a while, Lu Ming found dozens of divine herbs and 6 Genesis grasses. This was a great harvest. In the end, Lu Ming came to the center of the island. The rays of light were emitted from the center of the island. As soon as he came to the center of the island, he saw a pool of water. The pool water was blood red, and there seemed to be small dragons swimming in it. A powerful dragon aura spread out from his body. This is a dragon pool? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Legend had it that the dragon race's mother planet would give birth to a dragon pool. For the dragon race, cultivating in it would be very beneficial. However, in the battle dozens of stellar years ago, many dragon pools were either destroyed or hidden. He did not expect to see one here. It is indeed an opportunity. Lu Ming smiled. The water in the dragon pool was extremely rich in energy. If he could absorb and refine it, it would be very beneficial. Without hesitation, Lu Ming jumped down into the pool water and then activated his cultivation technique. Immediately, the water in the pool seemed to be boiling. Dragon roars could be heard. Following which, waves of energy transformed into tiny divine dragons and entered Lu Ming's pores. Moreover, as soon as these small dragons drilled into his pores, they rushed into Lu Ming's blood vessels and rushed toward his heart. In his heart, the 7 drops of primordial divine blood suddenly wriggled and turned into 7 divine dragons. They opened their mouths and swallowed these small dragons. Not long after, a new drop of primordial divine blood appeared. When this drop of primordial divine blood appeared, it was still very small. However, as energy was injected into it, it slowly grew. The water in the dragon pool can be transformed into primordial divine blood? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The more primordial divine blood he had, the stronger his combat power would be. No, it's not good to transform so much of the pool water into primordial divine blood. It's better to leave some for cultivation. With this thought, Lu Ming closed his eyes and activated the Universe Myriad Dao technique to compete with the primordial divine blood for energy and transform it into divine power. Time flew by quickly as Lu Ming cultivated. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. However, outside there was an uproar. Someone sent the video of the battle between Lu Ming and the Black Rogue Youth to the illusory sacred jade, causing an uproar. Lu Ming's combat power was unexpectedly strong. He could counterattack and kill several geniuses under the siege of so many experts. Chapter 36-33. Especially the clans behind the slain Sky Prides. They were all furious, especially the Wu people and the Winged Men clan. A terrifying existence of the Winged Men clan even personally issued an order in the illusory heavenly jade, summoning all the Sky Prides of the Winged Men clan on the Dragon clan's mother planet to gather at the Tsanglang Lake. They must kill Lu Ming. For a time, all the Sky Prides of the Winged Men clan on the Dragon clan's mother planet gathered at the Tsanglang Lake. Not long after, someone spread the news that the golden winged man killed by Lu Ming was the son of a big shot in the Winged Men clan. The higher the cultivation, the harder it was to have children. Because the level of life was too high, it was very difficult to have children. That big shot from the Winged Men clan was already quite old. It was not easy for him to have a son. Naturally, he doted on him in every possible way. He sent him to the Dragon clan's mother planet with the intention of nurturing him well, not to send him to his death. Therefore, when the big shot of the Winged Men clan saw his son killed, he was furious and his killing intent shook the void. There were also rumors that the big shot of the Winged Men clan had already rushed over from the Winged Men clan's headquarters to the Dragon clan's mother planet. He also spread the news that he would reward whoever could kill Lu Ming with great treasures. For a time, the public area of the illusory heavenly jade was full of discussions about Lu Ming. Then, the Sky Prides of various clans on the soaring dragon continent gathered at the Tsanglang Lake. Half a month later, the number of people at the Tsanglang Lake increased by at least 10 times. There were more than 2 groups of people from the Winged Men clan. There were more than 100 people from the Wu people. There were the Heavenly Bull clan, the Black Horse clan, the Sky clan, the Flowerless clan, and so on. They were all famous clans on the list of 10,000 clans. Each clan had more than 100 Sky Prides. There are huge waves blocking the way at the Tsanglang Lake. How can we rush in and kill Lu Ming? That kid has probably rushed to the deepest part of the Tsanglang Lake and obtained the opportunity there. He is already strong. Will he become stronger now? Will he be more difficult to deal with? Someone spoke with a grave expression. After all, back then, more than a dozen facing top heaven's prides, there were even 2 4th-level Divine Lord monsters among them. So many people joining hands and could not do anything to Lu Ming. Instead, they had several people killed by Lu Ming consecutively. Some people were also unsure. Look at how timid you are. How many people do we have here? Even if I spit a mouthful of saliva, I can also drown him to death. Furthermore, I discovered that many terrifying monsters have come. Terrifying monsters at the 4th-level Divine Lord realm, there are no less than 10. There are even people who already broke through to the 5th-level Divine Lord realm. What? Someone already reached 5th-level Divine Lord? Of course. There are many opportunities in the dragon race's mother planet. It's normal for some terrifying monsters to obtain some top-notch opportunities and improve their cultivation by leaps and bounds. This made many people green with envy. They entered the Dragon clan's home planet. Just how long had it been and someone already broke through to 5th-level Divine Lord? When they entered, the highest was just 3rd-level Divine Lord. Such a short time, entering 5th level Divine Lord, this kind of improvement speed truly made people envious. It's not difficult to break through the giant waves. As long as we form a battle formation and everyone works together, it won't be difficult to break through. A winged race prodigy said. This winged race prodigy looked very strange. Half of his body was golden yellow, and the other half was silver white. He was called Winged God. Those who knew Winged God all had somewhat solemn expressions. Among the winged race prodigies who entered this time, this person was the leader. He was a very terrifying existence. It was said that this person's bloodline had mutated. It was said that he was the son of a golden winged race prodigy and an angel. His strength was shockingly powerful. That's right. Moreover, after breaking through the giant waves, we can still form a battle formation and kill Lu Ming. No matter how strong Lu Ming is, there's only death for him. A young man from the Wu people said coldly. The expressions of the people from the Wu people were very ugly. Several hundred of them entered, but now there were not many people left. At least 100 people could not be contacted. If they could not contact them, naturally they were doomed. Of course, they did not know that over 100 people had been killed by Lu Ming and Ao Guan in the Evil Soul Valley. If they knew, their desire to kill Lu Ming would probably be even stronger. In that case, let's break through the giant waves with each race as a unit. Let's do that. The voices continued to be heard. The people of different races began to gather and form different battle formations. After forming the battle formations, the power of these people could be gathered and twisted into a force, and their strength would increase exponentially. At least 100 races formed battle formations and rushed toward the center of the surging waves lake. The different battle formations turned into powerful attacks and attacked the giant waves. The first giant wave exploded. These people rushed through without any resistance. Then there were 2 giant waves. The battle formations formed by these people were too powerful. The giant waves could not be stopped at all. Moreover, there were terrifying monsters in each race. For example, the Fire Centipede race was only ranked 10,000 on the Primordial 10,000 races list. The strongest among them, the red-haired young man, was not weak. The strongest Sky Prides of the other races were naturally stronger. 2 giant waves, 3 giant waves for giant waves. They could not be stopped. Even the 7 giant waves at the back were the same. Only the 8 giant waves at the back had some effect on these people. A few races could not pass through the 8 giant waves even after forming battle formations. However, there were still more than 100 races who formed battle formations and rushed through the giant waves. Once they rushed through the giant waves, they flew toward the small island and surrounded it. Are they finally here? In the Dragon Lake, Lu Ming opened his eyes and soared into the sky, standing high in the sky. On this small island, the suppression seemed to have disappeared. One could fly in the air. Only on the lake water would one be suppressed. It's that kid from the dragon human race. He is indeed here. The light here is dim. He has taken all the opportunities. As soon as Lu Ming appeared, the people of the various races rushed toward Lu Ming. There were people on all sides of the small island and they surrounded Lu Ming. That's right. After half a month of absorption and refinement, the lake water in the Dragon Lake had been completely absorbed and refined by Lu Ming. This time Lu Ming had gained a lot. Most of the energy in the Dragon Lake had been converted into primordial divine blood. This time, Lu Ming had condensed a total of 11 drops of primordial divine blood. In addition to the 7 drops from before, Lu Ming had a total of 18 drops of primordial divine blood in his body. Lu Ming was not sure how powerful the 18 drops of primordial divine blood were when activated together. In addition, although most of the energy had been converted into primordial divine blood, a small portion was absorbed by Lu Ming and turned into divine power. This allowed Lu Ming's cultivation to have another breakthrough. He reached the 3rd level Divine Lord realm in one go. With 11 more drops of primordial divine blood and a breakthrough to the 3rd level Divine Lord realm, Lu Ming's combat strength had undoubtedly risen to a terrifying level. Chapter 36-34. How lively! Lu Ming looked around and smiled faintly. He was not nervous at all. Kid, let's see how you'll die this time. A winged men prodigy shouted coldly with a ferocious look in his eyes. See how I'll die? Do you think the winged men can kill me? I'm afraid it won't be that easy. Lu Ming said with a hint of disdain in his voice. There are so many of us here. Killing you will be a piece of cake. The winged men prodigy sneered. So many of you want to kill me? Lu Ming pretended to be surprised. He looked around and said, if I remember correctly, I don't have any grudges with most of the people here. Why should they kill me? Kid, you're a native. How dare you be so arrogant and kill so many of our people? Some big shots have already ordered to kill you. Your fate is sealed. A young man from another race said. Ah. Lu Ming suddenly burst into laughter. Everyone was baffled by his laughter. Kid, what are you laughing at? Someone asked coldly. You're here to kill me for the rewards from the angels, the soul race and the blood race, right? Lu Ming said loudly. Many people's eyes flashed with doubt. Someone asked, how do you know about this? The content was all mentioned in the illusory divine jade. How did a native know about it? It's simple. I'm not a native of the dragon race's mother planet. I'm a human from the outside. I also have the illusory divine jade. Of course I know. Lu Ming said. What? Many people couldn't help but widen their eyes in shock. Lu Ming was not a native but an outsider like them? How was that possible? Didn't they say that Lu Ming was a native? Don't listen to his nonsense. If he wants to quibble, kill him first. The winged god from the winged men shouted coldly. If I'm not a native, you won't get any rewards even if you kill me, Lu Ming said loudly. Sure enough, many people hesitated and did not make a move. And you winged men clearly know me. You've seen me outside the dragon race's mother planet, but you didn't say anything. Instead, you slandered me by saying that I'm a native of the dragon race's mother planet. You're the ones with ulterior motives. Lu Ming shouted. As soon as he said this, many people's expressions changed. Some of them looked at the winged men in confusion. That was right, Lu Ming's identity. There were 100 clans present. Among these clans there were some very powerful experts. If these people were to form a combat formation and join forces with so many people, even if Lu Ming had a major breakthrough, it would be very dangerous. He might perish here. Furthermore, Lu Ming did not want to offend so many clans at the same time. The best way. Why did these races want to kill him? They had no enmity with him. They were only after the rewards from the 3 races. However, if he was not a local, then there would be no reward for killing him. Therefore, as long as he revealed his identity, most of the races here would not attack him. Why would they offend a demon like Lu Ming if they had no enmity with him? Nonsense. Don't listen to his quibbling. It's not the winged men who said you're a native. It was the fire centipede race who said so. Moreover, we heard that you're very close to the dragon human race. The winged god shouted. Then let me answer you. Firstly, I'm very close to the local dragonborn because I want to make use of them to help me search for treasures. Everyone does this. Previously, the fire centipede clan wanted to snatch the ruins that I occupied, so I fought with them. Therefore, it's normal for them to frame me. For example, I have a grudge with the winged clan outside, so you guys framed me. Lu Ming answered. His expression remained calm. You're still quibbling. You're clearly a dragon human race. You have the aura of a divine dragon. When you fight, you have dragon scales on your body. A winged man's supreme talent shouted. You have the aura of a divine dragon and dragon scales on your body when you fight. You're a dragon human race? Don't you know about the primordial divine body? The primordial divine body that I cultivate is related to dragons. Lu Ming explained calmly. Many people nodded. That was indeed the case. Dozens of stellar years ago, the divine dragon race was too powerful. Divine dragons could be found all over the universe. There were even legends of divine dragons in many small worlds. Therefore, all the major races had their own secret techniques related to the divine dragon race. Many secret techniques could be used to condense the form of a divine dragon to attack. For example, the divine dragon aspect technique. Of course, there were even more people who cultivated secret techniques related to the divine dragon race. For example, the famous snake race and python race in the universe loved to cultivate secret techniques related to the divine dragon race. It was normal for Lu Ming to cultivate the primordial divine dragon body. If you don't believe me, you can take a look at this. After saying that, Lu Ming's glabella lit up and the dreamy sacred jade appeared. I have the dreamy sacred jade. This proves that I'm not a native, right? Lu Ming said. It's really the dreamy sacred jade. He refined the dreamy sacred jade. It seems that what he said is true. He came from the outside just like us. So it was a mistake after all this time. Many people shook their heads in disappointment. Initially, if they killed Lu Ming, they would be rewarded by the 3 clans. Now, it was proven that Lu Ming was the same as them. He came from the outside and was not a local. In that case, there would be no reward for killing Lu Ming. There was no reward and there was no enmity between them and Lu Ming. Why would they kill him? So there was a mistake. Then the meteor race will not participate in this. The heavenly rock race will not participate either. We will not participate either. The experts of the various races shook their heads and retreated, indicating that they would not get involved in this mess. The faces of Yi Shen and the others turned ugly. Soon, only 10 of the 100 races did not retreat. Everyone, we have no enmity between us. If we fight, it won't be good for us. Lu Ming looked at the other races. There were a few races that had a good relationship with the winged men and the Wu people, but they were hesitating at the moment. Even if it's just the winged men, we can still kill you. Yi Shen snorted. His face was gloomy and murderous. Count the Wu people in. A young man from the Wu people said coldly. More than 100 Wu people were emitting black qi. Count us in. Another race said. This was a plant race that was formed by vines. Lu Ming had killed one of their top prodigies, and they would eventually settle the score. Count us in. Another clan spoke. This was the Divine Bull clan. Previously, a top-notch demon from their clan had died in Lu Ming's hands. In the end, a total of 4 races made it clear that they wanted to kill Lu Ming. Chapter 36-35. There were a total of 4 races guarding the 4 directions. Each race had at least 100 people. Powerful auras gathered and pressed down on Lu Ming. The air was filled with oppressive pressure. Why are you talking so much nonsense with him? Just attack. A sky pride of the Wu people said in a harsh voice. Then, more than 100 young men of the Wu people formed a battle formation. Each of them took out a divine artifact, which was a sound wave-type divine artifact. Dong 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 dong, all kinds of sounds were heard at the same time. Then they gathered together and rushed toward Lu Ming. So many people formed a battle formation and launched soul attacks at the same time. Even Lu Ming's expression changed. He didn't dare to be careless. With so many people attacking at the same time, even the wicked bell would not be able to withstand it. Their souls would be shattered. Therefore, the moment the Wu people attacked, Lu Ming condensed the Wind Destroyer boots and merged them with his feet. There was no suppression in the sky above the island. The power of the Wind Destroyer boots could be fully displayed. With a step in the air, Lu Ming's figure disappeared from the spot with a swoosh. The next moment he appeared behind the winged men, causing the wizard clan's soul attack to miss. Kill? The sky prides of the winged men roared. They formed a battle formation and launched their attacks. Their attacks converged into a vast sword light and slashed toward Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming naturally wouldn't fight with so many people. He flashed and dodged the attack. Get out of the way. Let us do it. The Wu people shouted. Now that Lu Ming was behind the winged men, the Wu people couldn't launch their soul attacks. Otherwise, the winged men would bear the brunt of the soul attacks, not Lu Ming. To the right. The god of wings shouted and ordered the winged men to retreat to the right to make room for the sorcerer tribesmen. However, how could Lu Ming let them have their way? As soon as the winged men moved, he moved as well. He hid behind the winged men, not giving the Wu people an angle to attack. The winged men were furious. They launched attacks at Lu Ming. However, with their combined strength they could only launch a single attack. With Lu Ming's speed he easily dodged their attacks. There's no need to use soul attacks. We'll just surround him and crush him directly. A Heaven's Pride leader of the Divine Ox clan roared. He led the Divine Ox clan people to form a battle formation and rushed over from another direction to surround Lu Ming. Ring ring ring. Lu Ming manipulated the wicked bell, and his soul attack turned into sound waves that spread out, rushing toward the Winged Men clan and the Divine Ox clan. The people of the Wu people were in another direction. They were blocked by the people of the Winged Men clan. Naturally, they could not provide any support. Now that Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through to the 3rd level of the Divine Lord realm, the power of the wicked bell was even more terrifying. Many people's bodies stiffened as they revealed expressions of pain. They felt as though their souls were being pierced by sharp swords. Someone screamed. Even if they formed a battle formation, they would not be able to withstand the soul attacks. Then let's kill. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. His cultivation of the 3rd level of the Divine Lord realm erupted completely. Moreover, he had activated 8 drops of primordial divine blood. Lu Ming felt that his body was filled with explosive power. Swoosh. Lu Ming turned into a dazzling spear light and stabbed at a Winged Men clan's pride. However, the Winged Men clan's pride was not afraid because he was in a battle formation. Being in a battle formation, they were one. Slash. The Winged Men clan youth roared. His body glowed and the entire battle formation emitted a dazzling light. Then a battle sword slashed at Lu Ming. Boom. The battle sword collided with Lu Ming's spear light. The spear light shook violently and a terrifying force surged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body trembled and he retreated. What a powerful force. Lu Ming frowned. Although his current strength was shocking, the Winged Men clan's battle formation had gathered the strength of more than 200 people. The combined strength of more than 200 sky prides was too terrifying. A bull's roar came from behind. A giant bull roared and rushed toward Lu Ming. Its two horns were like two heavenly blades. This was the battle formation formed by the Divine Bull clan. It launched a terrifying attack. The energy gathered to form a heavenly bull. His strength was shocking. Lu Ming naturally would not take it head-on. His figure flashed and he dodged the attack. Then, the Winged Men clan, Divine Bull clan, and Vine Men clan continued to attack. However, Lu Ming had the support of the wind-extinguishing boots and his speed was amazing. He dodged them one by one. The Wu people wanted to rush forward, but Lu Ming kept dodging the Wu people. He isolated the Wu people behind a certain race so that they could not attack Lu Ming directly. The Wu people were furious. After dozens of attacks, the four races could not even touch the corner of Lu Ming's clothes. Damn it, kid. If you have the ability, don't dodge. Fight head-on. The Winged Men clan roared. You four races have surrounded me with hundreds of people and formed a battle formation. You want me to fight head-on? Is this the behavior of the major races on the list of primitive 10,000 races? You're really shameless. Fine, I'll fight you head-on. Come on, let's fight one-on-one. Lu Ming's mocking voice sounded. No one answered. Indeed, with so many people besieging Lu Ming was not allowed to dodge? How could this be? This can't go on. I have to think of a way to separate them. Lu Ming thought quickly. The four races had formed a battle formation. There were at least 100 people from each race and their strength was connected. This force was too strong. Even if Lu Ming used his full strength, he would not be a match for them. He had to separate them. I'm not going to play with you anymore. Goodbye. Lu Ming's voice sounded, and then he suddenly rushed out. It seemed that he was going to leave this place. Don't let him escape. He's trying to escape. Chase him. Immediately roars were heard. They thought that Lu Ming was going to escape. This time, all the major clans had gathered here to besiege Lu Ming and they had even formed a battle formation. If Lu Ming were to escape, they would be utterly embarrassed. Especially the Winged Men clan. Kid, stay here. God of Wings of the Winged Men clan roared and chased after Lu Ming as fast as he could. A few other top experts of the Winged Men clan also chased after Lu Ming. In addition, the top geniuses of the Divine Ox clan, Wu people, and other clans did the same. If they formed a battle formation, their speed would be too slow and they would definitely not be able to catch up with Lu Ming. Therefore, some of the strongest geniuses left the battle formation and chased after Lu Ming. In this way, the battle formation of the major clans was suddenly broken. This is a good chance. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. His body suddenly stopped and then he flickered a few times. His phantoms were all over the sky. He directly avoided God of Wings and the other strongest people and rushed into the crowd of the Winged Men clan. Oh no. The faces of the Winged Men clan and the others changed drastically. Kill. Lu Ming roared and the tyrant god's spear burst out. In an instant, at least a dozen terrifying spear lights stabbed in all directions. Chapter 36:36. Lu Ming was surrounded by members of the Winged Men clan. Because the Winged Men clan's formation was dispersed, Lu Ming seized the opportunity to rush into the crowd. Dozens of spear lights pierced toward dozens of members of the Winged Men clan. Most of the Winged Men clan's prodigies were third-level divine lords. Lu Ming was now on the same level as them. At the same level, Lu Ming's combat ability was much stronger than theirs. Even if it was scattered into dozens of streaks, the power of each spear light was enough to kill those third-level divine lords. Buff, buff, buff. Blood splattered everywhere as screams rang out. In an instant, more than 30 Winged Men clan's prodigies were pierced by the spear light and died on the spot. Their corpses fell onto the small island. Ishin's eyes turned red when he saw this scene. Ah, damn it. Retreat, retreat quickly. Ishin roared crazily. Retreat quickly. The Winged Men clan also panicked and retreated frantically. However, was there any way to retreat? The answer was no. Kill? Lu Ming roared as the tyrant god's spear stabbed and swept out continuously. The entire sky was filled with spear lights. This was a massacre. In a battle of the same level, those so-called prodigies were like lambs waiting to be slaughtered when facing Lu Ming. They couldn't withstand a single blow. Every move and every spear would kill a Winged Men clan's prodigy. In addition, Lu Ming's speed was too fast. These Winged Men clan's prodigies couldn't dodge at all. In an instant, dozens of people died in Lu Ming's hands. In just a short while, 60 to 70 Winged Men clan's prodigies were killed by Lu Ming. Ah, die. Ishin finally rushed back. His eyes were filled with malevolent killing intent. One side of his body was silver white while the other side was golden yellow, emitting a dazzling radiance. He dashed toward Lu Ming. Two rays of dazzling sword gleams, one gold and one silver, slashed toward Lu Ming. Fifth-level Divine Lords. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. The Winged Men clan was well deserving of being a top major clan ranked 130 on the primeval 10,000 races list. The strongest person who came here this time, Winged God, actually already reached 5th-level Divine Lord. Although it looked like he had just broken through not long ago. Very good. No matter how many ordinary geniuses I kill, it's better to kill a top genius. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as he brandished the Overlord God spear and swept it towards Winged God. Boom. After two loud explosions, Ishin's body trembled violently as he retreated. Your power. Ishin roared in shock. He was somewhat in disbelief. He was the strongest prodigy of the Winged Men clan that entered this place this time. Moreover, he had already broken through to the 5th-level Divine Lord realm. His cultivation was one level higher than Lu Ming's. In a head-on confrontation he was actually no match for Lu Ming. Kill? Lu Ming could not be bothered with Winged God. He continued to attack Winged God. Although Winged God was very strong, his cultivation just broke through to 5th-level Divine Lord not long ago. His foundation was not even stable yet. And Lu Ming had activated 8 drops of Primordial Divine Blood just now. His power was already above Winged God's. Of course it was still not enough. The moment he attacked, Lu Ming activated 2 more drops of Primordial Divine Blood. Activating 10 drops of Primordial Divine Blood made his power even more shocking. Boom. Lu Ming's long spear was like a dragon, several thousand meters long. It pressed down on Winged God like a mountain range. This was Winged God's origin secret technique. When the origin secret technique exploded, Winged God suffered a backlash. His body shook violently as he vomited blood wildly. Ding-ling-ling. The heavenly evil bell rang continuously. At the same time, Lu Ming became one with his spear and attacked Winged God. No. Winged God roared in despair. The next moment his body was penetrated by Lu Ming. His eyes were filled with disbelief and despair. He was unwilling to accept this. Following that, cracks appeared on his body. The next moment his body directly exploded and he died on the spot. The strongest prodigy of the Winged Men who had entered this place this time had died. All of this happened in an extremely short time. Even if the others wanted to save him, they wouldn't be able to. What a powerful battle strength. There were over 100 large races and countless prodigies in the surroundings. At this moment they all gasped. Winged God had already broken through to the 5th level of the Divine Lord realm. His power was absolutely terrifying, but he couldn't stop Lu Ming. In just a few moves he was killed by Lu Ming. This was truly terrifying. He's from the human race, right? Yes, he's indeed from the human race. There's always a rumor that the human race is a special race. They're scattered throughout the universe. At first they're weak, but their potential is endless. Many terrifying existences have been born in history. That's right. There's even a taboo. Many people were discussing. After some people said the word taboo, they stopped abruptly and revealed a fearful expression. They didn't dare to say more. At this moment, the Winged Men around Lu Ming had already fled far away. They didn't dare to approach Lu Ming at all. The Wu people, the Divine Bull tribe and the Vine tribe were even more shocked. They quickly gathered together and formed a battle formation. They didn't dare to disperse. Lu Ming waved his hand and put away the storage rings of the prodigies of the Winged Men he had just killed. Looks like there's no chance. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. After the killing just now, the remaining Wu people and the Divine Bull tribe wouldn't dare to disperse. If they didn't disperse, Lu Ming wouldn't have a chance to kill them. This isn't over yet. A ray of cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Without a battle formation, you won't be able to withstand a single blow. Lu Ming sneered and then rushed out of the small island. The Wu people and the Divine Bull tribe didn't dare to disperse at all. They could only watch as Lu Ming rushed out of the small island and disappeared in front of them. When he went out, the giant waves wouldn't attack him. Lu Ming easily got out of the Tsanglang Lake. After leaving the Tsanglang Lake, Lu Ming didn't leave. Instead, he found a secluded place to hide and observe the entire Tsanglang Lake. Even if they didn't chase after him, it didn't mean that Lu Ming would let it go. With so many people besieging him, Lu Ming didn't want to let it go. Anyway, he had offended the Wu people, the Winged Men, and the Divine Bull tribe. There was no room for reconciliation. So Lu Ming wouldn't let them have it easy. He wanted to kill them until they were terrified. After hiding, Lu Ming took out the illusory sacred jade and watched it. Sure enough, the illusory sacred jade was in an uproar. There were so many races and people. Naturally, someone had recorded everything with the illusory sacred jade. There were even videos from different angles. They could watch it however they wanted. This caused an uproar whether it was inside or outside the Dragon Clan's mother planet. First, to everyone's surprise, Lu Ming wasn't a native of the Dragon Clan's mother planet. He was a human who came from outside. Therefore, most of the races didn't attack Lu Ming. Second, Lu Ming's strength was beyond everyone's expectations. The winged men suffered heavy losses. Even the strongest genius who entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet, the winged god, was killed. The winged men were shocked. The winged men who were rushing over was furious. They swore to kill Lu Ming in the illusory sacred jade. But this time, the three major clans didn't say anything. After all, they wanted to kill a native, and Lu Ming wasn't a native of the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Even if he was strong, the three major clans wouldn't be interested. Chapter 36-37. The top 10 races in the universe were too powerful. Naturally, they were not to be underestimated. Since Lu Ming was not a native of the dragon race, even if he had some strength, he could not attract the interest of the three races. In terms of talent, there were countless talented geniuses in the three major clans. Although the winged god was considered a top-notch monster in the wingmen race, he was nothing in the top 10 races. He couldn't even be ranked. Lu Ming looked at it for a while, then put it away and waited. As expected, not long after, people could be seen walking out from the center of the Tsanglang Lake. Lu Ming had taken all the treasures on that island. There was no point for those people to stay there. Naturally, they would not stay for long. The Wu people are coming out too. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He saw that the people from the sorcerer tribe had also come out from a certain direction. Lu Ming walked along the lakeside and quietly headed in that direction. The Wu people were very cautious. They were still maintaining their formation. Obviously, they were afraid that Lu Ming would sneak up on them. However, when they left the lake and found that they were not attacked, many of them were slightly relieved. The prodigies of more than 100 races scattered and left in different directions. The sorcerer tribesmen also left in the same direction. Lu Ming concealed his aura and slowly chased after them. He did not make a move. Now was not the best time. Lu Ming followed them for a few hours. Sure enough, after a few hours, the Wu people were completely relaxed. They did not continue to maintain their formation and flew forward casually. Now, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He stepped on the wind-extinguishing boots and rushed out suddenly. With a flash of light and shadow, Lu Ming dashed to the back of the sorcerer tribe's team. With a thought, the gate of domination flew out and became extremely huge, suppressing the void. Then the Overlord spear appeared and stabbed out dozens of spear lights. Lu Ming's speed was too fast. These sorcerer tribesmen did not have time to react. The spear lights pierced through dozens of Wu people and killed them on the spot. It's Lu Ming. Damn it. Watch out. Form the formation. The Wu people shouted. However, Lu Ming would not give them the chance to do so. Once he attacked continuously. Dazzling spear gleams burst forth and more than 10 sorcerers were killed. More than 100 Wu people were killed in the blink of an eye. At this moment, many sorcerers launched their attacks. All kinds of soul attacks surged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming flashed rapidly to avoid the other party's soul attack. At the same time, he used the Bell of Heavenly Evil to offset the other party's soul attack. Kill! Lu Ming yelled. This time he unleashed all his energy. All 18 drops of primordial divine blood were unleashed. Lu Ming's power reached its peak. Boom! Lu Ming held the Overlord spear with both hands and swung it from top to bottom. The power was too strong. The space shook violently. The terrifying power had actually blasted the sorcerer tribe's soul attack away and destroyed it directly. It seems that the Wu people's soul attacks are not invincible. As long as one's power is strong enough, one can break their soul attacks. Lu Ming's heart stirred. After all, soul attacks were just a kind of energy. They were strange, but as long as they were energy, they could be broken. Otherwise, the Wu people would not be ranked in the top 100. Those races that were stronger than the Wu people were not afraid of the Wu people's soul attacks. At this moment, Lu Ming was valiant and invincible. He brandished his long spear and broke through the soul attack of the sorcerer tribe, charging forward. Every time he swung his spear, a Wu people elite was killed. With the gate of domination suppressing the void, the Wu people's elites could not even use scarecrows. To others, the prodigies of the sorcerer tribe might be very tricky and difficult to deal with. However, to Lu Ming they were easier to kill than other prodigies. One spear strike, one or several. The Wu people's elites were killed one by one. It's you, kid. The Wu people will not let you go. How ruthless. The Wu people's elites will avenge us. The Wu people's elites roared, but in the next moment, they were all killed by Lu Ming's spear. There were also 4th-level divine lords in the sorcerer tribe. However, in the face of the current Lu Ming, they could not even escape and could not escape the fate of being killed. Towards the end, the sorcerer tribesmen had already started to flee in all directions. However, Lu Ming's speed was too fast. His 3rd-level divine lord divine power flowed into the wind destroyer boots, increasing his speed to the extreme. The Wu people could not escape at all. Half an hour later, Lu Ming stopped. More than 100 Wu people's elites had been killed by Lu Ming. Not a single one was left alive. After putting away the Wu people's elite storage rings, Lu Ming left and headed for the Black Dragon Valley. Now that his strength had increased by a lot, he could go deeper into the Black Dragon Valley. Not long after Lu Ming left, a few figures appeared on the battlefield where Lu Ming and the Wu people's elites had been fighting. These figures were the elites who had been in the vicinity. They had heard the sounds of the battle. However, they had not dared to come over at first. They had only dared to approach after the battle had ended and the sounds had disappeared. Then as soon as they arrived, they were shocked. Corpses were strewn all over the ground and some of them had even exploded. The smell of blood filled their nostrils. From the situation at the scene, they could see the horror of the battle. The Wu people. These are the elites of the Wu people. The young men's faces were pale as they trembled uncontrollably. They were from a small race that was not even ranked on the primitive 10,000 races list. The Wu people were definitely a powerful race that they could not reach. But now these powerful Wu people's elites were all dead. Who is it that can kill so many geniuses of the sorcerer tribe? It must be someone stronger than the Wu people, right? The young men discussed fervently. Not necessarily. You have seen the situation in the dreamy divine jade previously. Lu Ming alone killed so many elites from the Wing clan despite being surrounded by the 4 major clans. Perhaps it is him? It's hard to say. It's obvious that Lu Ming has a deep grudge against the Wu people. Let's record it and send it to the dreamy heavenly jade. Immediately, the young men took out their dreamy heavenly jades to record the scene and send it to the dreamy heavenly jade. The dreamy heavenly jade was shaken. More than 100 Wu people's elites had been killed not long after they had left. Who could it be? Everyone immediately thought of Lu Ming. Many people looked at each other in shock. The more they thought about it, the more likely it was. Soon, Lu Ming's name spread across the universe. When the Wu people's elites saw the news, they were furious. It was said that some of the Wu people's elites had rushed over from the Wu people's headquarters. Of course, Lu Ming saw everything as well. He sneered and was not bothered. Chapter 36-38. After returning to the Black Dragon Valley, Lu Ming did not enter the Black Dragon Valley immediately. Instead, he began to cultivate. He still had some Genesis grass in his hands. After refining it, his strength would increase a little. It would not be too late to enter the Black Dragon Valley then. 10 days later, Lu Ming refined all the Genesis grass in his hands. Lu Ming had another 2 types of divine powers that had undergone 5 awakenings. In this way, Lu Ming had a total of 7 types of divine powers that had undergone 5 awakenings. His overall strength had increased by a little again. After that, Lu Ming entered the Black Dragon Valley and explored it. This time Lu Ming had greatly improved. With his current battle strength, even if he was suppressed, killing a 5th-level divine lord was a piece of cake. He could even kill a 6th-level divine lord. Therefore, Lu Ming had greatly improved this time and obtained a large amount of divine herbs. Inside there were a total of 9 stalks of Genesis grass. In addition, he obtained several hundred stalks of various divine herbs. There were even a few stalks of divine herbs that were of very high grade. They were extremely helpful to divine emperors. It was a pity that Lu Ming could not refine divine herbs of this grade. Even if he gave the measure formula, the refining speed would not be that fast. Lu Ming had already given the measure formula a stalk of such divine herb previously. Although energy was refined and poured into Lu Ming's body every day, it was impossible for Lu Ming's cultivation to skyrocket all of a sudden. It only increased Lu Ming's cultivation speed. Lu Ming was already very satisfied. In the primitive universe, monarch pills were the currency of the Divine Lord realm. However, the divine herbs here were much more effective than monarch pills. If he refined all of these, it would greatly increase Lu Ming's cultivation speed. However, Lu Ming did not intend to refine these divine herbs because his cultivation had skyrocketed during this period of time. It had only been a few months and his cultivation had skyrocketed from 1st-level Divine Lord Realm to 3rd-level Divine Lord Realm. He had to stop and polish his foundation. Once his foundation was incomparably stable, he would continue to improve. However, the life origin grass could be refined. When Lu Ming left the Black Dragon Valley and returned to the Black Dragon family, he suddenly sensed that someone was sending him a message from the dream god Jade. Lu Ming was slightly taken aback. There was only one person who knew the name of his illusory godly Jade, and that was Man Ning, who came from the sacred Fire Saber sect with him. When Lu Ming had rushed into the Dragon Clan's mother planet, he had been attacked by 10,000 dragon seals. He had thrown Man Ning away. During this time he hadn't heard any news from Man Ning. Originally, Lu Ming had thought that Man Ning had encountered a mishap. After all, it wasn't safe on the dragon race's home planet either. The prodigies of various races were secretly killing each other. He's nearby. According to Manning's message, he was not far away. Lu Ming replied to Manning's message, and then rushed towards the message sent by Man Ning. Not long after, Lu Ming saw Man Ning on a mountain peak. "Miss Manning, how have you been?" Lu Ming smiled and sized up Man Ning. He discovered that her cultivation was still at the 3rd level Divine Lord realm. Brother Lu is now limitless and famous all over the world. Man Ning admires you. Man Ning smiled faintly. When she looked at Lu Ming, her eyes were extremely complicated. Lu Ming was merely the same as her from the sacred Fire Saber sect. Furthermore, Lu Ming was not even a disciple of the sacred Fire Saber sect. Clearly his background was even worse than hers. But not long after entering the dragon race's home planet, Lu Ming had already soared to the sky, even making those major races on the Chaos 10,000 races list fearful. And now, Lu Ming's cultivation was even more unfathomable by Man Ning. She was envious and helpless in her heart. Perhaps this was the difference between people. What limitless? I'm being hunted down every day now. My head hurts. Lu Ming laughed bitterly and said again, "Oh right, how has Miss Man Ning been recently?" Sigh. Man Ning sighed and told him about her situation during this period of time. Back then, when she was thrown away by Lu Ming, she did not suffer the attack of the 10,000 dragon seals. Therefore she was not injured and maintained her peak condition. Therefore she quickly occupied a ruin. In the beginning she obtained quite a number of opportunities. Unfortunately, good times did not last long. As those prodigies of the major races rapidly recovered, the ruin she occupied was snatched away by other major races. She was forced to flee. After a period of time she wandered everywhere. However, there were figures of major races everywhere. She alone had no competitiveness at all. In fact, it was not just her. Those races and factions that were not on the Chaos 10,000 races list also did not have much competitiveness. Firstly, they had fewer people. Secondly, their combat strength was still very far from those major races. The stronger the race, the greater the gap between them. Under such circumstances, these small races and factions might not even have a chance to drink soup. Therefore, these small races and factions all joined forces and occupied some small ruins with their advantage in numbers. As for Man Ning, he had joined such an organization. Lu Ming nodded. Although the dragon race's mother planet was very big, the number of ruins and cultivation sacred grounds was limited. Almost all the major races and factions in the entire primitive universe except for the top 100 had come. One could imagine how fierce the competition was. The ruins and sacred grounds on the dragon race's mother planet were not enough to be distributed. Without strength, one could not obtain many resources at all. There were very few people like Lu Ming who occupied several ruins alone. "Miss Man Ning, why are you looking for me?" Lu Ming asked. "Lu Ming, I heard some things from others. The remaining winged men, Wu people, and other races do not intend to let you go. In addition, I also heard that some of the winged men entered the dragon race's mother planet more than 30 years ago." Man Ning said. "More than 30 years ago." Lu Ming frowned slightly. His face was a little solemn. More than 30 years ago, it was also a weak period of the 10,000 dragon seals. There was a group of people who broke through the 18 weak points, but even if it was a weak period at that time, it was still very dangerous. Most of the geniuses who broke through the weak points died. But who could guarantee that no one succeeded in breaking in? Lu Ming suspected that most people had succeeded in breaking in. These people had entered 33 years earlier than Lu Ming and the others. Even if they were seriously injured when they entered, their injuries must have healed long ago after so many years. Moreover, they had cultivated on the dragon race's mother planet for so many years. How strong would their cultivation be? It was probably very shocking. The only thing that made Lu Ming feel a little relieved was that the 10,000 dragon seals had a stronger repulsion towards those with higher cultivation. For example, when Lu Ming and the others entered, only 3rd-level divine lords were allowed to enter. If 4th-level divine lords forced their way in, they would definitely die. Of course, as time passed, the repulsion of the 10,000 dragon seals weakened. During the next week period, it might allow 4th-level divine lords or even those with higher cultivation to enter here. However, more than 30 years ago, it seemed that the repulsion towards 3rd-level divine lords was also very strong. Therefore, those who entered at that time were likely 2nd-level or 1st-level divine lords. Therefore, even if they entered a few decades earlier, their cultivation should not be too exaggerated. Thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Chapter 36-39. Brother Lu, I heard that the winged men have gone to invite this prodigy who entered more than 30 years ago. I'm afraid it won't be long before he arrives. You have to be careful. Man Ning said. Thank you for your reminder. Lu Ming cupped his fists. It's just a small matter. Brother Lu, you don't have to thank me. If it wasn't for you back then, I would have died under the 10,000 dragon seals. Alright, I've brought the news. I won't disturb Brother Lu's cultivation anymore. Man Ning cupped her fists and was about to leave. Miss Man Ning, this is for you. Lu Ming waved his hand and a storage ring flew to Man Ning. Man Ning subconsciously caught it and scanned it with her spiritual consciousness. She was pleasantly surprised. There were 9 stalks of divine herbs in the storage ring. Brother Lu, this is... Man Ning looked at Lu Ming. Nothing much. Thank you for your news. Lu Ming smiled and returned to the Black Dragon family. He didn't let Man Ning stay. With one more person he would be distracted. It was most comfortable to be alone. Watching Lu Ming walk into the Black Dragon family, Man Ning took a deep breath and suppressed the excitement in her heart. 9 stalks of divine herbs, this was a huge harvest. Now, some of the smaller clans and factions had gathered together. Although they had occupied the ruins, they had too many people. It was too difficult for them to get a stalk of divine herb. Apart from the time when Man Ning had just entered the dragon race's mother planet and obtained some divine herbs, she rarely obtained any after that. With these 9 stalks of divine herbs and the ones I have, I can break through to the 4th-level divine lord realm in one go. Man Ning's eyes flashed with a wisp of light. Once she broke through to the 4th-level divine lord realm, she would have more say in the organization she was in. Man Ning carefully kept the 9 stalks of divine herbs and turned to leave. Black Dragon family. I entered the dragon race's mother planet more than 30 years ago. What realm has my cultivation reached now? Lu Ming pondered. Forget it. I'll improve myself first. Lu Ming shook his head. He took out the Genesis grass and began refining it. The Genesis grass was the fastest way to improve one's strength. As Lu Ming began to refine the Genesis grass, a storm was brewing in the outside world. This was because in this period of time, the number of local dragons and mystical dragons had increased. From time to time, they would appear to hunt down the geniuses of the outsiders. During this period of time, battles were raging all over the Dragon Clan's mother planet. There was also a legend that the prodigy who had entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet more than 30 years ago was about to come out. After coming out of seclusion, he would personally hunt down these Dragon Clan natives. For a moment, there were those who were looking forward to it, while there were also those who were feeling heavy-hearted. Because those who entered the mother planet of the Dragon Clan more than 30 years ago had cultivated for such a long time. How strong were those people? Among the group of people who had recently entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet, there probably weren't many who could match up to them, right? Also, how many people had managed to break into the Dragon Clan's home planet more than 30 years ago? Time passed day by day. Not long after, the winged men released a message in the dreamy heavenly jade. More than 30 years ago, someone from the Winged Men clan had successfully entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Now they were about to end their seclusion and go kill Lu Ming. For a time, it attracted the attention of all parties. As for Lu Ming, he had been speeding up his cultivation. The Genesis grass was refined one by one, and Lu Ming's divine power of origin factor was also constantly breaking through. Previously, he had a total of 7 types of divine power, which had achieved 5 awakenings. After he had refined all 9 Genesis grass, he had a total of 10 types of divine power, which had achieved 5 awakenings. This had increased Lu Ming's combat strength by a few points. Is it coming? Lu Ming looked at the message in the dreamy heavenly jade. Then let's fight. Lu Ming whispered. Then he entered the dreamy heavenly jade and began to speak. I am Lu Ming. Lu Ming's first sentence caused an uproar in the dreamy heavenly jade. Countless people replied to his one sentence. Of course, this also confirmed that Lu Ming was not a local but an outsider. Bastards of the winged men, I will wait for you at the Surging Waves Peak beside the Surging Waves Lake. I will cut off your heads. This was Lu Ming's second sentence, which caused an even greater commotion. Lu Ming was challenging the winged men. At first, The winged men said that they would invite their prodigy who had entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet more than 30 years ago to kill Lu Ming. Now Lu Ming had directly challenged the winged men. The winged men had quickly announced that they would kill Lu Ming at the Surging Waves Peak. Let's go to the Surging Waves Peak. That Lu Ming's combat strength is strong, but the winged men's prodigy who had entered the Dragon Clan more than 30 years ago, I wonder what his cultivation level is? Don't miss it. It will definitely be exciting. Many people were curious and went to the Surging Waves Lake. For a time, the Surging Waves Lake became lively again. However, Lu Ming did not go to the Surging Waves Lake immediately. He still had important things to do. He did not forget to look for Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon. Now he only had people from the Black Dragon Clan, the Blood Dragon Hall, and the Golden Dragon Clan to inquire about Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon, but there were too few of them. Lu Ming took action and gathered the people from the local forces nearby. As for the outsiders, they were all killed by Lu Ming at lightning speed. Slowly, Lu Ming gathered more than a dozen local forces of the Dragon Human Clan to help Lu Ming inquire about Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon. Then Lu Ming rushed to the Surging Waves Lake. During this time, countless people had gathered at the Surging Waves Peak beside the Surging Waves Lake. They were all prodigies from various clans. The winged men are here. Someone shouted. Sure enough, streams of light flew over from a direction. They were all prodigies of the winged men clan. The person in the lead was a young man in a green robe. All the prodigies of the winged men clan were slightly behind this young man. When they looked at him, their eyes were full of respect. He's here. This man in green robe is the prodigy of the Winged Men clan who entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet 33 years ago, right? Many people's eyes fell on the young man in green robe. This person was handsome and his eyes were sharp. When he opened and closed his eyes, it was as if two sharp swords burst out. Can you see this person's cultivation level? I can't. This person's aura is strong and unfathomable. At least it's above mine. If it's above yours, wouldn't it be at least a 5th level Divine Lord? Not far away, a few young men were secretly talking. These young men were top prodigies from several large clans. Their cultivation levels had already reached the 5th level Divine Lord. However, they couldn't see through the young man in green robe's cultivation level. At least, it meant that the young man in green robe's cultivation level was above theirs. They came in a few decades earlier than us. Even if their cultivation levels weren't as high as ours when they came in back then, they have cultivated for so many years. How many resources have they obtained over these years? I'm afraid it's no small matter. These people were previously in seclusion in different sacred grounds. Now that they are going to come out, our good days may be coming to an end. These prodigies were secretly discussing, feeling a little unhappy. Chapter 3640. Whoosh. The green-robed young man stepped out and landed on the peak of Surging Wave Peak. He closed his eyes and rested. Where's Lu Ming? He's the one who asked us to fight here, but he hasn't shown up yet. Is he too afraid to come? A winged man's sky pride shouted. His voice echoed in all directions and was filled with provocation. Back at Surging Wave Lake, these winged men were scared out of their wits by Lu Ming's massacre. They fled pathetically and did not dare to say anything arrogant. Now that the green-robed young man was here, they were full of confidence and immediately became arrogant again. Lu Ming hasn't arrived yet. We haven't seen him yet. People from the other races spoke one after another. Some of them had arrived long ago, but they had not seen Lu Ming yet. Then let's wait. The green-robed young man on Surging Wave Peak said. For a moment, the surroundings fell into silence. Time passed day by day. Soon 6 days had passed. Lu Ming had not arrived yet. It's been 6 days, but that kid still hasn't arrived. He's really scared and has become a coward. I think he doesn't dare to accept the challenge at all. When he heard that the winged men had a sky pride who entered more than 30 years ago, he was probably scared to death. Challenging Senior Lei is just for show. That's right, I think so too. The winged men discussed animatedly. Some even scolded Lu Ming in the illusory space, trying to provoke Lu Ming to come out. Soon, another 2 days had passed, but Lu Ming still had not arrived. Where's the ruin that Lu Ming occupied? I'll go there personally. At this moment, the green-robed young man Lei Yi suddenly opened his eyes. Bolts of lightning shot out from his eyes, and a loud rumble resounded in the sky. The power was shocking, as if it was a punishment from the heavens. Obviously, Lei Yi was angry. After waiting for so many days, he had lost his patience. Don't look for me, I'm here. At this moment, a voice came from the distant horizon. Following that, a figure stepped on the air and arrived. It's really Lu Ming. He's here. I didn't expect him to really dare to come. This is going to be a good show. Many people started discussing excitedly when they saw Lu Ming. Lei Yi also looked at Lu Ming, lightning flashing in his eyes. Lu Ming's speed was very fast. With just a few steps, he arrived at the peak of Surging Wave Peak and landed on the peak facing Lei Yi. Brat, you're finally here. I thought you were going to be a coward. A youth from the Winged Men clan sneered. Oh my, you're so arrogant now. Last time, you were beaten by me until you ran away in a sorry state, crying for your parents. I remember that you were one of them. Lu Ming's gaze was filled with mockery as he looked at the winged man who had just spoken. The winged man couldn't help but blush with shame and indignation. Back then, Lu Ming slaughtered everyone and broke the winged clan's battle formation. He was indeed scared out of his wits and ran for his life, crying for his parents. That was truly frightening. But now that Lu Ming had brought it up in front of everyone, it was an extremely embarrassing matter. Lu Ming, right? I didn't expect that you could kill so many people from my Winged Men clan with your mere third-level Divine Lord cultivation. Very good, very good. Lei Yi spoke at this moment, looking at Lu Ming, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Very good indeed. It'll be even better after I kill you. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Kill me? With just you? You're still far from it. I'll let you understand the difference between you and me. Lei Yi sneered. Boom. In the next moment, a shocking aura suddenly erupted from Lei Yi's body. An incomparably dense and ancient aura spread out from his body. Zzz Lei Yi's body was covered with lightning, as if he had turned into a person of lightning. Origin Divine Power Factor, 6 Awakenings and a 6th-level Divine Lord cultivation. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly narrowed. The moment Lei Yi erupted, Lu Ming could feel that this Lei Yi's strength was extremely shocking. As expected of someone who had entered 30 years earlier than them, the other party must have obtained a lot of treasures. For example, treasures like the Genesis grass and various divine medicines. Therefore, the other party's origin divine power factor had already awakened 6 times. This was the first time Lu Ming had encountered an origin divine power factor that had awakened 6 times. So strong. Many spectators in the surroundings also revealed shocked expressions. Kill? Lei Yi shouted coldly. He pressed his palm, and the lightning in the sky turned into a huge lightning eagle that charged at Lu Ming. At this moment, all the divine power in Lu Ming's body was circulating. At the same time, he activated the battle character formula, which increased his battle strength by 5 times. Then the Tyrant God Spear condensed and blasted out. Boom. A violent explosion erupted, and the energy in the sky swept out in all directions like a gale. Amidst the explosion, Lu Ming's body trembled, and he couldn't help but retreat a few steps. So strong. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed again. He felt that the other party's power was extremely violent and domineering. The power was like a landslide. As expected of a 6th-level Divine Lord who had awakened his origin divine power factor 6 times. With such a cultivation level and divine power of this grade, any casual attack would be earth-shattering. To be able to block one of my attacks, your strength is not bad. No wonder you can kill so many of my winged men. However, you won't be able to escape death today. Lei Yi said coldly, and the aura on his body became even more shocking. At the same time, a pair of wings appeared. This was a pair of green wings that were completely formed by lightning. Every feather on it seemed to be made of lightning. This was Lei Yi's origin secret technique, and judging from his aura, he had already severed 2 shackles. This pair of green wings merged with the wings on Lei Yi's back. Boom. Lei Yi's aura became even more explosive, and lightning filled the sky. Ding-ling-ling. Lu Ming immediately used the Bell of Heavenly Evil. He had the upper hand by striking first. The powerful soul attack directly charged toward Lei Yi. With Lu Ming's current cultivation level, the power of the Bell of Evil was very shocking. Soul attack, I've been waiting for this move of yours. Break. Lei Yi shouted, and the 2 wings came together and slashed down like a lightning sword. He wanted to break Lu Ming's soul attack with his powerful strength. His strength was very shocking, and when he slashed down, the space exploded, and it really did offset a part of the soul attack. However, his strength wasn't that strong and he could only offset a part of the soul attack. There was still a part that rushed into his sea of consciousness, and it affected him slightly. It was enough for Lu Ming to have a slight impact on him. In a battle between experts, the slightest difference could lead to a huge difference. If there was a slight effect, it would also weaken Lei Yi's strength slightly. Following that, Lu Ming condensed the wind-extinguishing boots and merged them with his feet. With a step, Lu Ming rushed towards Lei Yi. At the same time, the 18 drops of primordial divine blood in his body all burst out. The Overlord's spear was like a mountain range and it smashed towards Lei Yi. The power was so strong that the void shook. Chapter 36:41. Lei Yi's expression turned serious for the first time. He let out a long cry and flapped his wings rapidly. Lightning filled the sky as another large bird flew out. This time the bird he formed wasn't an eagle but a roc. The roc let out a long cry and charged toward Lu Ming like a sharp blade. Its power was many times stronger than the eagle from before. Boom. The two clashed once again, erupting with a shocking explosion. Then Lu Ming's figure drifted back. However, Lu Ming took a step forward and charged toward Lei Yi from another direction. Lu Ming didn't use any other origin secret techniques. Comparatively speaking, his other origin secret techniques hadn't severed the second shackle and were much weaker. Against an expert like Lei Yi, they weren't very useful. It was better to just attack with the Overlord God Spear. The Overlord God Spear was held in Lu Ming's hand. Coupled with the power of the primordial divine body, its power could be unleashed to the extreme. Thunder rock. Lei Yi roared. His body was covered in endless lightning as his wings flapped continuously. This time, two thunder rocks formed. Boom, boom. The two engaged in an intense battle, exchanging more than 10 moves. Lei Yi was really strong. He was a 6th level divine lord. In terms of cultivation, he was 3 levels higher than Lu Ming. One had to know that the difference of 1 level in the divine lord realm was like heaven and earth. A person 1 level higher could easily kill a person 1 level lower, let alone a person 3 levels higher. Moreover, his origin divine power factor had been awakened 6 times. It was higher than Lu Ming's. With such battle strength, even if Lu Ming used his full strength, he still couldn't gain the upper hand. However, Lu Ming wasn't shocked. Instead, he was happy. Because after exchanging more than 10 moves, Lu Ming found that Lei Yi wasn't that scary. His battle strength was strong because of his cultivation and origin divine power factor. Other aspects were ordinary. For example, his constitution secret technique. Lu Ming found that Lei Yi's constitution secret technique was very ordinary. It wasn't strong and was far inferior to the winged god of the winged race and the golden winged race. This meant that the other party's talent was not very high. He was inferior to the winged god and the golden winged clan. The reason why Lei Yi was so strong was entirely because he had entered the dragon clan's mother planet early on, obtained some opportunities and improved his cultivation, divine power of origin factor and secret arts of origin. Although these 3 factors played a large role in a person's battle prowess, they were not the only factor. There were still other factors that affected one's battle prowess. That was why Lu Ming was able to fight with the other party. If it was the God of Wings or the Golden Winged Man, Lu Ming would definitely be no match for them given their origin divine power factor and cultivation level. In this way, Lu Ming was emboldened. Kill? Lu Ming let out a long roar and raised his battle prowess to the maximum. And in the measure word formula, the divine power kept pouring into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming did not have to worry about running out of divine power. The power of the tyrant god's spear, wind-extinguishing boots, and evil bell were also urged to the maximum. Many people whose cultivation level was not high enough could only hear continuous ringing sounds. Afterward, Lu Ming turned into a phantom and surrounded Lei Yi, launching a fierce attack. How is this possible? Lu Ming's strength is actually powerful to such an extent. He can actually fight with Lei Yi to such an extent? He's only a 3rd level divine lord, while Lei Yi is a 6th level divine lord. He can actually bridge such a gap? Inconceivable. The surrounding people of other races who were watching the battle were all stunned. Each and every one of them opened their eyes wide, staring fixedly at the great battle on Surging Wave Peak. As a 3rd level divine lord, fighting a 6th level divine lord. Furthermore, the other party was also a prodigy. This kind of battle prowess was truly too shocking. Those people from the Winged Clan were all stunned. Then their faces turned deathly pale, extremely ugly. Previously they were incomparably arrogant, thinking that Lei Yi was enough to kill Lu Ming. They never would have thought that Lu Ming could actually contend with Lu Ming. No, Lei Yi definitely won't lose. Lei Yi's cultivation is a 6th level divine lord. It's incomparably dense. It's far from what a 3rd level divine lord can compare to. That brat must have used some secret art to increase his battle prowess. But this kind of secret art consumes a lot of divine power. He won't be able to hold on for long before his divine power runs out. That's right. The moment his divine power runs out will be the moment he dies. The Winged Clan seemed to have grasped at their last life-saving straw. They began to look forward to it. Unfortunately, they were disappointed. Lu Ming and Lei Yi exchanged 30 moves, 40 moves, 50 moves. All the way until over 100 moves, Lu Ming's attacks did not weaken at all. They were still incomparably powerful. Instead, it was Lei Yi whose attacks began to weaken. The first reason was that Lei Yi was constantly being affected by the heavenly evil bell. The heavenly evil bell was constantly attacking his soul. Although it was only a slight effect each time, over a long period of time, it accumulated, and the effect on his soul became greater and greater. Now, waves of piercing pain were coming from his soul. This severely affected his performance. The other reason was that such an intense battle consumed a lot of divine power. At this moment, Lei Yi's divine power was greatly depleted. Damn it! Lei Yi roared in his heart. He could not understand how Lu Ming's divine power could be so dense. Could this brat have a treasure to store divine power? But the higher one's cultivation, the harder it is to store divine power. Treasures to store divine power are even rarer. How did this brat have it? Lei Yi roared in his heart. He could not figure it out. He would never have thought that it was because of the origin ancient characters. The origin ancient characters were too rare. In the entire primitive universe, there were only 36 origin ancient characters. Each origin ancient character had a different function. As for the quantitative character formula, it was an auxiliary origin ancient character. It was not well known in the primitive universe. Not many people knew about it. Lei did not know about it at all. That was why he could not figure it out. With his 6th level Divine Lord cultivation, his divine power had been severely depleted. How could Lu Ming still be so lively? The more he fought, the more shocked he became. His mentality was in a mess. He no longer had his initial sharpness. In this way he was even less of a match for Lu Ming. Slowly he began to fall into a disadvantageous position. On the other hand, Lu Ming's advantage was increasing. After exchanging more than a dozen moves, whoosh, an extremely sharp spear light almost pierced Lei Yi's heart. Although he tried his best to avoid it, his shoulder was still pierced. A large hole was blasted open and blood and flesh splattered. Ah! Lei Yi roared. However, he was injured and his strength was even weaker. He wanted to escape. Kill? Lei Yi roared. His divine power erupted and condensed into 3 lightning rocks. They pounced on Lu Ming. As for himself, he turned to leave. Want to leave? Impossible. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. He stepped on the void and his figure constantly changed. He directly dodged the 3 lightning rocks. The tyrant god's spear was like a bolt of lightning, piercing towards Lei Yi's head. Chapter 3642. Lu Ming continuously changed his position and dodged Lei Yi's attack. The spear light was like lightning as it pierced towards Lei Yi's head. Lei Yi felt goosebumps all over his body as a terrifying sense of danger emerged in his heart. This was the danger of death. At the critical moment, Lei Yi roared and moved his body a few meters away. Trying to dodge? Don't even think about it. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he swept the Overlord God's spear. The tip of the spear pierced through the void like a blade light flashing past. Poof! The spear swept past Lei Yi's wing. Immediately, blood splattered and feathers flew. One of Lei Yi's wings had been chopped off. His origin source secret technique was originally fused with his wings, but at this moment, it almost collapsed. Lei Yi coughed out blood and his face turned pale. Quick, come and help me. Quick! Lei Yi roared crazily and asked the other winged men for help. Quick, form the formation. Form the formation. There were more than 100 winged men on the scene. At this moment, their figures flashed as they formed the formation and rushed towards Lu Ming to save Lei Yi. However, Lu Ming would not give them the chance. Their movements were too slow. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, Lu Ming attacked more than 10 times. The spear shadows completely enveloped Lei Yi. Lei Yi was continuously injured and his combat strength was weakened. He was no match for Lu Ming. Although he tried his best to resist, it was still useless. More than 10 spear lights were only able to block half of the attacks. The remaining half bombarded his body and blasted half of it. Quick, come and save me. Lei Yi roared crazily. He was almost scared to death and almost wet his pants. Although he was considered a supreme talent in the Winged Men clan, he was not the top and did not have a high status. More than 30 years ago, he risked his life to break into the Dragon Clan's mother planet and finally obtained a great opportunity. After cultivating in the Dragon Clan's mother planet for a few decades, his cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. Many of the supreme talents of the Winged Men clan who had suppressed him back then were no longer his match. This made him extremely happy. His fate had completely changed. In the future, he would definitely be put in an important position in the Winged Men clan. He had originally thought that killing Lu Ming would be a piece of cake. After killing Lu Ming, the big shot of the Winged Men clan would think highly of him and his future would be bright. He never thought that he would put himself in danger. This was not the result he wanted. He was so scared that his soul was trembling. Stop. Kill. More than 100 winged men formed a battle formation and rushed over. Unfortunately, they were unable to catch up. Kill him first, then I'll deal with you guys. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold light, and his attacks continued like a torrential storm, sweeping towards Lei Yi. This time Ray could no longer resist. Lu Ming, you're doomed. Lei Yi let out an unwilling roar as he was engulfed by the spear light. His body exploded and his soul was destroyed. He died on the spot. Damn it. Many members of the winged men roared when they saw this scene. Then they gathered their divine energy and formed a huge battle sword that slashed towards Lu Ming. You don't have any peak heavenly geniuses. There are only 100 of you. I want to see how strong your battle formation is. Lu Ming revealed an intense battle intent. His divine energy crazily poured into the tyrant god spear. Boom. The tyrant god spear suddenly stabbed out, and a huge spear light pierced towards the battle sword. Then the two collided. A shocking explosion erupted. It was as if a planet had exploded, and a resplendent shockwave spread out in all directions. In the end, the spear light and the battle sword exploded at the same time. How is this possible? All the winged men, including the spectators, were shocked. They didn't know until they fought, but now that they fought, they realized how terrifying Lu Ming was. A battle formation formed by more than 100 people was actually unable to do anything to Lu Ming. You're only a so-so. Kill. Lu Ming roared and the tyrant god spear shot out. A huge spear shadow, like a mountain, was a few thousand miles long, and blasted towards the winged men's battle formation. At the same time, the heavenly evil bell rang continuously, and soul attacks rushed towards the winged men's battle formation. When they formed a battle formation, their divine energy could be linked together, and their divine energy could be stacked together. However, there was a flaw in this. After all, it would take time to link up their divine energy. Although this time wasn't very long, it could be said to be very short. If they were in a state of suppression, this time was negligible. However, the battle formation formed by the winged men now couldn't suppress Lu Ming. This was a big problem. Lu Ming's attack speed was faster than theirs. In addition, some of them felt a piercing pain in their souls when they were attacked by the heavenly evil bell. As a result, their attack speed was slower. They unleashed their attacks. When they made the second move, they could barely keep up with Lu Ming's speed and blocked his attack. When they attacked for the third time, they were slightly slower. Just as Lu Ming's attack was about to land, they attacked to block Lu Ming's spear. However, when Lu Ming attacked for the fourth time, it was already too late for them to attack. Defend. Quick, defend. Block it. Block it. Many of the sky prides of the winged men shouted. Seeing that the huge spear light was about to land, they were horrified. In the end, they managed to activate a light screen to block it. Boom. The huge spear light smashed hard on the light screen. The light screen shook violently, and the few sky prides of the winged men who were closest to the spear light trembled violently. They spat out mouthfuls of blood and cracks appeared on their bodies. Ah! They screamed in horror. Break! Amidst the horrified screams and Lu Ming's cold snort, cracks appeared on the layer of light curtain and it simply exploded. The light screen exploded and there was no more obstruction. The spear light crushed down. Bang! 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 In an instant, more than a dozen sky prides of the winged men clan exploded and died on the spot. Run! The battle formation had been broken. The remaining sky prides of the winged men clan were terrified. They ran for their lives and fled in all directions. Kill! Lu Ming roared. He was filled with killing intent and he did not show any mercy. He and the winged men clan were mortal enemies. They would not rest until one of them was dead. The other party had schemed to kill him and he would not let them go. Although he did not care about them anymore. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Dazzling spear light shot out continuously. The sky prides of the winged men clan were pierced through and died on the spot. It was a one-sided massacre. This was because there was no one left in the winged men clan who could fight against Lu Ming. None of them could fight against Lu Ming. One after another, the sky prides of the winged men clan died under Lu Ming's tyrant god spear. There were more than 100 of them, but soon 50 to 60 of them were killed. The rest of them were lucky and managed to escape in a sorry state. How ruthless! How strong! The sky prides of the various races gasped. They looked at Lu Ming with a grave expression. They knew that he was a ruthless person. Chapter 36-43. After all, Lu Ming was alone. He couldn't split himself up. He didn't mind killing all the winged men prodigies. However, more than 100 winged men prodigies fled in all directions. Moreover, the winged men were good at speed. It was impossible for him to catch up with them one by one. In the end, he only managed to kill more than half of them. Lu Ming's figure flickered as he collected the storage rings of the winged men prodigies. I wonder if there's anything in that guy's storage ring? A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind as he revealed an expectant expression. He was thinking about Lei Yi's storage ring. Lei Yi had been in the Dragon Clan's mother planet for so many years. He must have gone through many relics or sacred grounds and obtained a lot of treasures. Otherwise, his cultivation wouldn't have improved so much. He also had Origin Source divine power and Origin Source secret techniques. It was most likely that he had left something behind. Lu Ming planned to find a place to check. Rumble. It was at this moment that a sudden change occurred. The earth and space suddenly began to tremble violently, emitting violent rumbling sounds. Rumble. Intense rumbling sounds rang out continuously. Many people who were standing on the ground nearly lost their balance. What's going on? Many people were puzzled. Look. Outer space. Outer space. Suddenly, someone looked up at the sky and shouted in shock. The others couldn't help but look up at the sky. Then they gasped in unison. Even Lu Ming was the same. No one knew when, but a colossal figure appeared in outer space. It was incomparably huge and appeared from the universe. Swoosh. A huge beam of light shot out from the body of this colossus, slashing towards the dragon race's mother planet. Around the dragon race's mother planet, the 10,000 dragon seal appeared and blocked the light. However, it shook violently and let out a loud rumbling sound. Soon, the figure approached and the crowd could finally see the figure's appearance. It was actually a winged man. Although it was very far away, this winged man was too big. He appeared between the Dragon Clan's mother planet and the star, directly blocking the star. The world was dark and only the bright golden light was left. This was a middle-aged golden winged person. His entire body was golden and radiated with radiance. He was simply too big. He gave off the feeling that he was as big as a star. It's the Winged Men clan. That Almighty from the Winged Men clan has arrived. Someone shouted in shock. He had heard that Lu Ming had killed the son of a powerful being from the Winged Men clan. That powerful being was so angry that he rushed to the Dragon Clan's home planet. Now he had finally arrived. However, the other party was too terrifying. His body was as huge as a planet, and he traversed the starry sky of the universe like a primordial god. Previously, the tremor in the dragon race's mother planet was caused by this person. He was attacking the dragon race's mother planet but was blocked by the 10,000 dragon seals. Swoosh. The eyes of the winged men were like two golden suns when they opened and closed. In the end, his gaze landed on Lu Ming. Even though they were separated by a great distance, Lu Ming could see the incomparably brutal killing intent in his eyes. Kid, are you the one who killed many of my Winged Men clan's sky prides? The Winged Men clan's Almighty spoke. His voice rumbled and directly transmitted to the dragon race's mother planet through the 10,000 dragon seals. This kind of strength was truly earth-shattering. That's right. Lu Ming took a deep breath and said, it would be nonsense to say that he didn't feel pressured when facing such an unfathomable Almighty. He was under a lot of pressure. Fortunately, the dragon race's mother planet had the 10,000 dragon seals. The 10,000 dragon seals were set up by all the experts of the dragon race at the cost of their lives. They were unbreakable. If they could be broken, the Almighties of the Angels clan, the Soul clan, and the other clans would have broken through long ago. Why would they wait for the Winged Men clan's Almighty to come? With this confidence, Lu Ming was fearless. Very well, get out here yourself. I'll let you die a quick death. The Winged Men clan's Almighty spoke. His voice rumbled like thunder. His tone was filled with an unquestionable tone, as if others had to do what he said. In fact, that was indeed the case. This person was a top Almighty of the Winged Men clan. His strength was unimaginably high. No one dared to refute his words. Whatever he said was what it was. This was a habit that had become second nature. But in Lu Ming's eyes it was just stupid. I've seen it in the dreamy divine jade. I killed an idiot previously. He must be your son. I didn't expect him to be as stupid as his son. Lu Ming sneered. As soon as Lu Ming's words came out, the surrounding people gasped. Audacious, truly audacious. In the face of such an Almighty, Lu Ming actually dared to call him an idiot. This was really, many people would be scared witless when facing such an Almighty. They would even have to be careful when speaking. But Lu Ming actually dared to scold the other party. If that wasn't audacious, then what was? Even the almighty of the Winged Men clan was slightly stunned. Then an incomparably violent killing intent appeared. Very good, very good. I don't know how many years it has been since someone dared to speak to me like this. It seems that the young people nowadays really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The almighty of the Winged Men clan said coldly, his voice spreading in all directions. Old man, you talk too much nonsense. If you want to avenge your son, come, I'm standing right here. If you have the ability, come and kill me. Lu Ming shouted arrogantly. Anyway, the other party wouldn't let him go. He might as well go all out. He didn't believe that the other party could break the 10,000 dragon seals. Kid, you're courting death. The almighty of the Winged Men clan said coldly. His body emitted an incomparably terrifying light. The golden light illuminated the universe. It was 100 times brighter than a star. If it weren't for the 10,000 dragon seals, Lu Ming and the others would have been annihilated in an instant. But at this moment they didn't feel the slightest aura. They only saw that the other party's body was shining, but they didn't feel any terrifying aura. They knew that the other party must have been blocked by the 10,000 dragon seals. Boom. The almighty of the Winged Men clan appeared. The golden light condensed into a golden palm. The golden palm was so huge that it covered the sky. It pressed down on the dragon clan's mother planet. From afar, the palm lines on the palm could be seen clearly. Because every palm line was incomparably huge. It was like a huge mountain range. Just as the golden palm was about to press down on the dragon clan's mother planet, a dragon's roar resounded between heaven and earth. The dragon's roar was earth-shattering. An unparalleled dragon's aura spread out. Then the surroundings of the dragon clan's mother planet lit up. An incomparably huge divine dragon condensed and rushed into the sky, charging towards the golden palm. Boom. The huge divine dragon collided with the golden palm. An earth-shattering explosion erupted. In the next moment, the golden palm exploded. Chapter 3644. 10,000 Dragon Seals. I don't believe that the 10,000 dragon seals that have been laid down for tens of stellar years can stop me. Today I must open up a gap and kill that little bastard. The Winged Men tribe's almighty roared as his divine power erupted. The universe's starry sky exploded continuously, revealing a large area of nothingness. Such a scene was simply too terrifying. If there were planets around, they would have exploded. Fortunately, there were no more planets around the dragon race's mother star. That star was associated with the dragon race's mother star. It was no small matter and could not be destroyed. Outside the dragon race's mother star, there were originally countless figures gathered. They were all sky prides from various races. Their cultivation was at the 4th level Divine Lord realm and above, and they were prepared to find an opportunity to enter the dragon race's mother star. However, after the Winged Men tribe's almighty arrived, they had already retreated an infinite distance away to avoid being affected. Boom. The Winged Men tribe's almighty spread out his wings and flapped vigorously. Suddenly, countless golden feathers flew out and turned into golden battle swords that blasted towards the dragon race's mother star. The dragon's roar was heard again, and it was even more intense. Countless divine dragons appeared and blocked the golden sword light. Open up. The Winged Men tribe's almighty roared as he clenched his fists. Countless golden sword lights gathered to form an incomparably huge battle sword that slashed towards the dragon race's mother star. He wanted to open up a gap in the 10,000 dragon seals. He only needed to create a small gap. He had 100 ways to kill Lu Ming if he created a small gap. However, he had obviously underestimated the 10,000 dragon seals. A violent dragon's roar was heard, and an incomparably huge figure of a 9-clawed dragon appeared. Its entire body seemed to have solidified. It was like a real 9-clawed dragon, lifelike and lifelike. The 9-clawed dragon's dragon claws reached out and grabbed the golden battle sword. Then, with a forceful squeeze, the golden battle sword shattered and dissipated into energy. The Winged Men tribe's almighty's body shook and he could not help but retreat. Damn it! The mighty figure of the Winged Men clan roared in his heart. He had used almost all of his strength just now, but he still couldn't break the 10,000 dragon seal. He couldn't even break a single crack. Brother E, let this old man lend you a hand. Right at this moment, a hoarse and ear-piercing voice rang out. After that, another figure appeared beside the mighty figure of the Winged Men. This figure was also incomparably huge. Its enormous body filled the starry sky, blotted out the sky and cast a large shadow. From afar, one could see that this was an old man. He wore a black robe and there was a black mist lingering around his body. The Wu people are the almighty of the Wu people. Someone shouted. Apparently, this enormous figure was a grand cultivator of the Wu people. He was at the same level as the grand cultivator of the Wingmen clan. You're here too. You came at the right time. Let's work together and break the 10,000 dragon seal. We only need to break a tiny bit. The almighty being of the Winged Men clan said. All right, let's attack together. The hoarse voice of the grand cultivator of the Wu people rang out. In the next moment he made his move. The body of the grand cultivator of the Wu people glowed. Then a figure crawled out from his body. This figure looked like a devil. It was a soul puppet refined from a soul. The soul puppet roared and charged towards the 10,000 dragon seal. At the same time, the grand cultivator of the Winged Men clan made his move again. The golden battle sword condensed once more, and he wanted to break the 10,000 dragon seal. The dragon roar rang out again. The 9-clawed dragon roared angrily. Its body emitted a dazzling light as it charged towards the soul puppet and the golden battle sword. The soul puppet and the 9-clawed dragon tangled together, and the void exploded. Then the golden battle sword slashed the 9-clawed dragon's head. Boom. The 9-clawed dragon's head was directly cut open. A deep sword wound appeared and half of it exploded. We're going to win. On the dragon race's mother planet, the sky prides of the Winged Men clan who had escaped earlier were ecstatic when they saw this scene. Haha, the grand ancestor is going to break the 10,000 dragon seal. Lu Ming, that brat, is doomed. The sky prides of the Winged Men clan laughed loudly. That grand cultivator of the Winged Men clan was one of the grand ancestors of the Winged Men clan. The 10,000 dragon seal has been weakened after such a long time. It can no longer withstand the grand ancestor's attack. Let's see how arrogant that brat is. The sky prides of the Winged Men clan were ecstatic. Not only that, but those who had a grudge against Lu Ming were also ecstatic. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. They can't really break it, right? Lu Ming did not have much confidence in his heart. Don't worry. With the strength of these two guys, they can't break the 10,000 dragon seal. Bone Demon said in his sea of consciousness. How do you know? Lu Ming didn't believe it. Why wouldn't I know? Although these two guys are quite strong, I can kill them with a slap when I'm at my peak. Bone Demon said disdainfully. You're so strong? Who are you? Lu Ming asked. He was really curious about Bone Demon's identity. He had asked him before, but Bone Demon never answered. It was the same this time. You don't have the right to know who I am now. Your strength is too weak, do you understand? Bone Demon said disdainfully. Lu Ming was speechless. However, after hearing Bone Demon's words, Lu Ming finally felt relieved. Along the way, Gumo's words were indeed true. Outside the planet, the battle was extremely fierce. The Winged Men clan and the Wu people joined forces and finally defeated the 9-clawed dragon. Many people exclaimed, thinking that the 10,000 dragon seal was really going to be broken. However, right at the moment when the 9-clawed divine dragon disappeared, a dragon claw suddenly shot out. This dragon claw was huge and boundless, and it grabbed at the Winged Men clan and the Wu people. This dragon claw, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. This dragon claw was exactly the same as the last dragon claw he encountered when he entered the dragon clan's mother planet. However, the current one was many times larger and stronger than the previous one. Boom. When the dragon claw reached out, the soul puppet was directly caught. Kakaka. The soul puppet let out ear-piercing screams and struggled wildly. Everyone had witnessed how powerful the soul puppet was. But now they couldn't break free no matter how hard they tried. Not good, give me a hand. The Wu people almighty roared, his face pale. He kept urging his divine power to struggle with the soul puppet. At the same time, the Winged Men clan almighty also attacked. The golden battle sword slashed at the dragon claw. However, before the golden battle sword could reach its target, the dragon claw clenched its fist and the soul puppet exploded with a loud bang. The Wu people almighty seemed to have suffered a backlash. His body shook violently and he coughed up blood and retreated. After the dragon claw crushed the soul puppet, it turned and continued to grab the golden battle sword. Chapter 36:45. The dragon claw grabbed at the golden battle sword. With one grab, the golden battle sword collapsed. Then the dragon claw continued to grab at the sorcerer tribe and the Winged Men clan. The dragon claw grew larger and larger. In the end, it seemed to have completely enveloped the mighty figures of the sorcerer tribe and the Winged Men clan. It seemed as if it was going to claw them to death. Block it. The two higher beings were greatly shocked. They roared and attacked together, exploding out with all of their strength towards the dragon claw. Boom. There was an earth-shattering explosion. Dazzling light spread in all directions. In the end, the two huge figures retreated rapidly. They were the two mighty figures from the Wingmen clan and the Sorcerer tribe. They staggered backward and spat out blood. Their faces were ghastly pale and they were shocked. The Dragon Claw continued to charge toward the Wingmen tribe and the Sorcerer tribe as it let out a deafening roar. "Let's go!" The two Winged Men and the Wu people didn't dare to stay. They flashed and disappeared in the sky. He actually retreated, not daring to stay. The geniuses on the dragon race's mother planet were dumbfounded. The situation had changed so quickly. Previously, they had thought that the two empty gods from the Winged Men tribe and the Sorcerer tribe would succeed. However, in the next moment, the two empty gods were injured. They did not dare to stay any longer and escaped immediately. The geniuses of the Winged Men and those who had a grudge against Lu Ming were especially disappointed. Whoosh! Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief. He felt as though a huge rock had been lifted from his heart. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't nervous and didn't feel any pressure. Those were the ancestral patriarchs of the Wu people and the Winged Men. They were top experts and were famous even in the primitive universe. They were definitely stronger than divine emperors. Such an expert, even with the 10,000 dragon seal blocking him, still gave him a lot of pressure. With his current strength, if he didn't have the 10,000 dragon seals, they could kill him 10 times or even 100 times. The difference was too big. Compared to the Your Wilds universe, he was still very insignificant and weak. But Lu Ming was confident that as long as he was given time, he would grow very quickly. In the end, he would be able to trample those people under his feet. All the geniuses on the dragon race's mother planet, listen up. If anyone can kill Lu Ming, I'll promise him one thing. As long as it's within my power, I'll definitely help him. Suddenly, a voice came from the vast universe and spread across the dragon race's mother planet. It was the voice of the Winged Men. Everyone immediately knew who it was. Then many people's eyes began to burn. Everyone's gaze was fixed on Lu Ming. Their eyes were burning with passion. As long as Lu Ming was killed, the Almighty from the Winged Men clan would agree to a condition of that person. As long as it was within the power of that Almighty, he would be able to do it. This condition was simply too tempting. What kind of status did the mighty figure of the Winged Men clan have? How powerful was he? The value of one of his conditions was unimaginably high. When many people looked at Lu Ming, their eyes were filled with killing intent. If you want to kill me, you'll have to be prepared to be killed by me. Lu Ming held the Overlord spear in his hand. His fighting spirit soared as his eyes swept across the surroundings. Those who were swept by his gaze felt their hearts beat faster and couldn't help but retreat. At this moment they remembered how terrifying Lu Ming was. Those who wanted to kill Lu Ming were all dead now. Even Lei Yi was killed. How could they deal with Lu Ming? Of course, there were many of them at the scene and there was no lack of top-notch geniuses who had already broken through to the 4th level Divine Lord Realm or even the 5th level Divine Lord Realm. With so many of them attacking together, they could also annihilate Lu Ming using the human wave tactic. But who would go first? Without a doubt, the person who went first would be in the most danger and would most likely be killed by Lu Ming. They all wanted others to go first, so for a moment no one made a move. "Looks like you don't dare to make a move," Lu Ming said in a cold voice, his voice carrying faint mockery, then turned around and strode away. The places that he passed by, the various races' heaven's prides did not dare to stop him at all, one after another dispersing, opening up a path for Lu Ming. Very soon Lu Ming disappeared from this place. A condition of the Winged Men race's major power, watch him slip away helplessly just like that? Someone said unwillingly. Then what can we do? Lu Ming, this person is seriously too monstrous. Just a 3rd level Divine Lord and he's already so strong. If you dare to go up, you go up, I absolutely won't stop you. Better you go, I won't stop you either. Everyone shot their mouths off. Naturally no one dared to pursue. We're not Lu Ming's match, but it doesn't mean that no one can kill Lu Ming. Don't forget, the ones who entered the dragon race's homeworld more than 30 years ago weren't just Lei Yi alone. Suddenly someone spoke up coldly. Everyone's hearts trembled. That's right, the Heaven's Prides who entered more than 30 years ago were not just Lei Yi alone. Some top clans also had Heaven's Prides who entered alive. Let's go, let's spread this news. There will naturally be people who will go and ask for Lu Ming's head. Let's go. Many people spoke up and left this place one after another. After Lu Ming left Blue Wave Lake, he did not return to Black Dragon Valley. The Winged Men race's major power promised enormous benefits to get people to kill him. Since no one made a move previously, there was no guarantee that no one would make a move later on. Also, there were those Heaven's Prides who entered the dragon race's homeworld more than 30 years ago. Through the battle with Lei Yi, Lu Ming clearly understood the terror of these heavens' prides. These people had entered several decades ago. Each and every one of their cultivation was unimaginably deep. Lei Yi was not considered a top monster and was already so powerful. If a few top monsters came, Lu Ming would really not be a match. Or perhaps, if a 7th-level Divine Lord existence came, Lu Ming would also have to run away obediently. Therefore, if he returned to Black Dragon Valley, he might implicate the people of Black Dragon Valley. It would at least be better if he was not around. Not long after, Lu Ming found a hidden place. In a rather remote place there was a crack in the ground. After entering the place, he found that there was a rather wide underground space below. Sitting cross-legged, dozens of storage rings appeared in Lu Ming's hand. They were all obtained from the winged men race's heaven's prides. Lu Ming first took out Lei Yi's storage ring and looked at it. With one look, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. There were indeed gains. Lu Ming directly ignored some ordinary refining materials, pills, divine artifacts and divine crystals. His gaze fell on some divine herbs. There were dozens of divine herbs, each of them extremely rich in life energy. More than half of them were actually divine herbs useful for divine emperors. This kind of divine herb's medicinal effect was astonishing. It was very difficult for divine lords to refine it, so Lei Yi kept it. In addition, there were Genesis grass and heavenly source fruits. There were a total of 7 Genesis grasses. There were a total of 15 heavenly source fruits. They were placed in 2 crystal clear boxes. A huge gain, an absolutely huge gain. Lu Ming's eyes shone with a scorching light. Chapter 3646. Lu Ming couldn't refine those divine herbs for the time being, but he could refine the Genesis grass and heavenly source fruit to increase Lu Ming's battle strength. Lu Ming speculated that Lei Yi had left the Genesis grass and heavenly source fruit behind because he had reached a bottleneck. Lei Yi's divine origin power factor had already awakened 6 times, and the next step would be the 7th awakening. The 6th to 7th awakening was too difficult, and definitely not achievable with just 5 Genesis grass. In addition, Lei Yi's secret origin technique had severed 2 shackles, but to sever 3 shackles was definitely not achievable with just 15 heavenly source fruits. Hence, Lei Yi had left them behind. Of course, this was only Lu Ming's guess. There might be other reasons. But no matter what the reason was, they were now all Lu Ming's. Refine. Lu Ming adjusted his breathing for a while, adjusting his condition to peak condition, then took out a Genesis grass and swallowed it to refine. After refining all 5 tufts of source life grass as expected, Lu Ming's last type of divine power had also awakened 5 times. In this way, Lu Ming's 11 divine powers had all awakened 5 times, which was very balanced. After refining the Genesis grass, Lu Ming took out the heavenly source fruit to refine. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. In these 2 months, Lu Ming had finished refining all the Genesis grass and heavenly source fruit. Finally, he had also successfully severed his 3rd shackle with his secret origin technique, the Gate of Domination. In this way, Lu Ming had the Tyrant God's Spear, the Heavenly Evil Bell, the Wind Destroyer Boots, and the Gate of Domination to sever his 2nd shackle. Looks like I'll have to make a trip to the Undersea Dragon Palace. Lu Ming took out the illusory sacred jade and looked at it, then fell into deep thought. During this period, Lu Ming would take out the illusory sacred jade every now and then to observe the movements of others to see if anyone was looking for him to kill him. In the beginning, there were indeed prodigies who had entered more than 30 years ago who were looking for Lu Ming. Unfortunately, they couldn't find any trace of Lu Ming. Later, something big happened on the Dragon Clan's mother planet, which attracted everyone's attention. That was the Dragon Palace. Someone had found traces of the Dragon Palace at the bottom of the sea. What was the Dragon Palace? Legend had it that during the Dragon Clan's heyday, the Dragon Palace was the most powerful being. It was the true holy land of the Dragon Clan. Once this news came out, it caused an uproar. Compared to the Dragon Palace, the other relics and sacred grounds were far inferior and incomparable. Thinking of the great opportunities in other relics, what about the Dragon Palace? However, in front of the Dragon Palace, there were many powerful sea beasts guarding it. During this period of time, the sky prides of various races had gathered. It was said that even the sky prides who had entered more than 30 years ago had appeared. The sky prides of various races had joined forces to eliminate the sea beasts and enter the Dragon Palace. Recently, he had killed many sea beasts and only a few types of sea beasts were left. At this time, Lu Ming decided to set off. He wouldn't miss a place like the Dragon Palace. He needed too many resources to cultivate now. He couldn't miss any opportunity. Lu Ming took action immediately and headed toward the sea. The dreamy heavenly jade was very lively. Countless people were talking about it. They had already explained the location of the Dragon Palace. After leaping across the boundless land and trekking, Lu Ming finally arrived at the sea. He didn't know how vast the boundless sea was. The waves roared. He could vaguely see huge sea beasts rolling their bodies. The ocean of the Dragon Clan's mother planet was different from the oceans of ordinary planets. The oceans of ordinary planets were no longer a deterrent to Lu Ming. But the ocean of the Dragon Clan's mother planet was different. It still gave Lu Ming an unfathomable feeling and a strong pressure. It was just like when he faced the ocean in the Primordial realm. Taking a deep breath, Lu Ming rushed out and headed for his destination. A few days later Lu Ming stopped. "It should be around here," Lu Ming said in a low voice. He then plunged into the sea. The sea was extremely deep, especially in the deep sea. Any random place was tens of thousands of miles deep. Lu Ming kept going down. The bottom of the sea was pitch black. There was no light at all. But for Lu Ming it wasn't a problem. Divine power gathered in his eyes. The pitch-black bottom of the sea was still as bright as day. In the sea there were huge sea beasts swimming by from time to time. But due to Lu Ming's pressure they didn't dare to approach. Soon Lu Ming had dived more than 20,000 miles. "There's someone?" Suddenly Lu Ming's eyes moved. Not far away there were a few figures heading in a direction. They didn't notice Lu Ming. Could it be in that direction? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Although he knew the general direction, he didn't know the specific address. Originally he needed to look for it. Now that he saw others, Lu Ming naturally followed them. Lu Ming restrained his aura and followed them from afar. The underwater world was strange and dazzling, but Lu Ming wasn't in the mood to enjoy it. After traveling for about hundreds of thousands of miles, the number of people gradually increased. They were all geniuses of various races. Group by group they were scattered in the sea ahead. Lu Ming didn't get close. He chose a hidden rock and hid behind it. Then he took out the illusory space and looked at it. There was the information he needed in it. Sure enough, in the illusory space, the geniuses of various races were discussing. It turned out that they were not far from the Dragon Palace. But there were still sea beasts blocking the way. But there were only a few types of sea beasts left. Some powerful races were planning to join forces with other races to eliminate those sea beasts. They agreed to take action in 2 hours. Lu Ming watched for a while and waited quietly. 2 hours passed in the blink of an eye. At this time, the geniuses of various races began to move. They gathered together and moved forward. Lu Ming followed from afar. Not far ahead was an oceanic trench. It was very wide and incomparably huge. The geniuses of various races entered the oceanic trench and kept moving forward. Not long after, huge creatures appeared in front of them. Squeak! Those huge creatures were fiery red all over. They let out strange cries and charged at the geniuses of various races. Lobsters. Those huge creatures were actually lobsters. Each of them was 100 miles long. 100-mile lobster. Kill? The geniuses of various races also roared. Divine power burst forth. In the pitch-black deep sea they were like huge light bulbs. They rushed forward and fought with those 100-mile lobsters. Those lobsters had astonishing combat strength. They were all at the Divine Lord realm. Some of them were even stronger and could fight with 5th or 6th level Divine Lords. Their feelers were like extremely sharp sabers. They swept past and split the seawater. Some geniuses would be cut in half if they were careless. Their pincers were even more astonishing and extremely sharp. They could even crush divine weapons. Chapter 3647. Not only did these lobsters have amazing attack power, but their defense was even more amazing. Their bodies were covered with hard shells, and the attacks of some weaker cultivators could only leave shallow marks on their bodies. However, the number of prodigies from the various clans was more than 10 times that of the lobsters. Moreover, many of the large clans had set up battle formations with amazing power. As a result, each of the giant lobsters had their defenses broken through and were killed on the spot. In particular, some of the prodigies caught Lu Ming's attention. These prodigies were shockingly powerful. They often killed their way into the lobsters and killed them one by one. None of these people are weaker than Lei. Some of them are even stronger. They should have entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet more than 30 years ago. Lu Ming thought. The battle continued. The prodigies of the various clans obviously had the upper hand and killed the lobsters one by one. The battle lasted for about an hour and all the lobsters were killed. Then the prodigies of the various clans continued to move forward. However, not long after, a large group of sea beasts blocked their way. It was a group of huge crabs, and they were even larger than the lobsters from before. Their power was also more terrifying. This is the last group of sea beasts. Once we kill these sea beasts we can reach the Dragon Palace. Charge! Someone shouted. Indeed, from here they could vaguely see a corner of the palace in front of them. It was faintly discernible in the sea. Many people's eyes lit up with a burning light. That was the Dragon Palace. Its status was the same as the sacred grounds of the Angels, Soul Clan and other top clans. How many treasures would there be inside? If the Dragon Clan was at its peak, they would not be able to enter at all. If they could obtain some opportunities inside, they would definitely soar to the sky. The prodigies of the various clans were burning with fighting spirit. They rushed forward crazily and fought with the crabs. This battle could be said to be tragic. The strength of these crabs was astonishing, and they were extremely fast. They came and went in the deep sea like the wind. The prodigies of the various clans began to suffer a large number of casualties. Although the crabs were constantly being killed, the prodigies of the various clans were also killed and devoured by the crabs. The smell of blood in the deep sea attracted many huge sea beasts and fish. However, these sea beasts and fish were somewhat weak. When they felt the pressure of the empty space, they did not dare to approach at all and fled. This battle lasted for a few hours. Finally, the prodigies of the various clans completely gained the upper hand. The crabs were hunted down one by one. Soon there weren't many crabs left. After all, the geniuses of the various clans had the advantage in numbers and could set up battle formations. Time to go out, Lu Ming muttered. Seeing that all the crabs were about to be hunted down, the Dragon Palace was just ahead. This was the best time to make a move. If they were late they might miss the opportunity. Whoosh! Lu Ming rushed out and rushed into the crowd. Many people's gazes swept over him and were instantly shocked. It's Lu Ming. It's Lu Ming. Immediately many people cried out in surprise as they recognized Lu Ming. Many pairs of eyes looked at Lu Ming. There was fear, passion and killing intent. There were all sorts of emotions. Lu Ming was speechless. He knew that once he appeared, he would be recognized and attract attention. That was why he rushed out at this time. Because it was very difficult to hide one's identity in the Divine Lord realm. If he wanted to change his appearance it would be too easy. With just a thought his body would change. However, when a Divine Lord realm recognized a person, it was not based on their appearance because anyone could change their appearance at will. A Divine Lord realm recognized people based on their life source, and it was very difficult to change a person's life source. Therefore, even if Lu Ming disguised himself, he would be easily recognized. Therefore, he did not disguise himself and hid at the back, only appearing now. Whoosh! At this moment, a huge crab rushed over. One of its long legs cut through the sea and slashed at the crowd like a huge machete. A weaker prodigy was paying attention to Lu Ming and was careless. He was slashed by the crab leg and was directly cut in two. The crab leg whistled and slashed at Lu Ming. Buzz! The Overlord God's spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand and he brandished it. Striking the crab leg, a powerful force erupted. The crab leg directly exploded, snow-white crab meat flying everywhere. Following that, Lu Ming rushed out. His speed was very fast. With a flash, he rushed to the top of the giant crab. Holding the spear with both hands, he directly stabbed down on the giant crab's head. The giant crab let out a strange cry. Its massive body rolled and struggled violently. Slowly it stopped breathing. Easily killing a giant crab, Lu Ming stepped forward and faced the second giant crab. Although the combat strength of these giant crabs was very strong compared to Lu Ming, there was still some gap. Very soon, the second giant crab was also killed by Lu Ming. At this time, the number of giant crabs became fewer and fewer. There were only a few dozen left. The battle situation was already decided. Before long, all of the giant crabs would be killed off. Bang! Right at this time, Lu Ming felt an intense rumble coming from the side. A terrifying air wave surged towards Lu Ming. The sea water was pressed together and blasted towards Lu Ming. Sneak attack. Lu Ming's gaze turned cold. Without hesitation, he stabbed the Overlord God's spear to the side. Bang! The Overlord God's spear pierced through the compressed sea water and pierced a golden fist. A terrifying power exploded. The force swept out in all directions. The sea water in a radius of dozens of kilometers was blasted away, forming a vacuum. One had to know that this was the bottom of the sea at a depth of tens of thousands of kilometers. Moreover, the sea water on the Dragon Clan's mother planet was very shocking. It contained a terrifying amount of energy that was not something ordinary sea water could compare to. Therefore, at a depth of tens of thousands of kilometers, the pressure of the sea water was not to be underestimated. Even so, the collision of the two still caused the sea water in a radius of tens of kilometers to explode. From this, one could see it. Lu Ming felt a mountain-like force surging towards him. His body trembled and he retreated rapidly. What a powerful force. It's even stronger than Lei Yi. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Just now, in a hurry, he did not use his full strength. That was why he was pushed back by the other party's punch. However, from that punch, Lu Ming could still feel that the person who attacked him was very powerful. That was because the other party only used an ordinary punch. Lu Ming looked ahead. He saw an extremely burly young man about 3 meters tall. His entire body was golden and his muscles were like diamonds. Is this the Vajra clan? A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. He had encountered the Vajra clan before. It was in the Qintian galaxy of the Taishu dynasty. However, the Vajra clan there was only a branch. Moreover, their bloodline was not pure. They were very different from the real Vajra clan. The real Vajra clan had amazing strength and could be ranked in the top 200 of the primitive 10,000 races. The Vajra clan in front of him was obviously a pure Vajra clan member. His body was like diamond. Chapter 3648. It's Jin Yen from the Vajra race. I heard that he entered the dragon race's mother planet more than 30 years ago. He's a top-notch monster and is even stronger than Lei Yi. Seems like he has his eyes on Lu Ming. That's normal. Who wouldn't be tempted by the winged men race's offer? I guess the others who entered more than 30 years ago are tempted as well. Discussions broke out all around. So you're Lu Ming. Legend has it that you're so powerful, but that's all there is to it. Jin Yen sneered and looked at Lu Ming with a ferocious gaze. You and I have no grudges. If you want to be my opponent, you should be prepared to be killed. Lu Ming said indifferently. Haha, you think you can kill me just because you can kill Lei Yi? Let me tell you, I can kill Lei Yi too. Jin Yen laughed and looked at Lu Ming with a burning gaze as if he was looking at a peerless treasure. Boom. He took a step forward and the muscles all over his body were trembling like King Kong. The surrounding seawater was directly expelled. As Jin Yen stepped forward, his aura became stronger and stronger. Soon it reached its peak. At the same time, a thin battle suit appeared on his body and covered his entire body. That was his origin source secret technique. Although he looked down on Lu Ming, he didn't dare to underestimate him at all. He attacked with all his might. Boom. As he threw out a punch, the seawater in front of his fist exploded and compressed. It turned into a terrifying attack and blasted toward Lu Ming. Fight. Lu Ming roared without fear. At this moment he also used all his strength. The battle art was activated and his combat strength increased by 5 times. 18 drops of primordial divine blood were activated. The energy of the Overlord God's spear to sever the second shackle was activated. Buzz. The Overlord God's spear vibrated slightly. The seawater around him exploded and formed a vacuum. Then it swept forward. Boom. The Overlord God's spear collided with Jin Yan's fist for the second time. This time the explosion was 10 times stronger than the previous one. The seawater was evaporated and a terrifying force surged out, forming huge waves at the bottom of the sea. The sky prides of the other races didn't dare to stay and all retreated far away. After the first exchange, they didn't retreat and attacked again. Boom, boom, boom. Both of them were astonishingly fast. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than a dozen moves. A huge explosion occurred in the area, causing chaos. Ring ring ring. After exchanging dozens of blows, Lu Ming used the heavenly evildoer bell. Then the gate of domination flew out and suppressed the golden yen. Soul attacks are useless against me. Break for me. Jin Yen let out a long howl as his divine power burst forth. His body, which was as hard as diamond, actually emitted a brilliant light. There was no doubt that Jin Yen had also cultivated a secret physique technique, and his mastery of it had reached an astonishing level. Coupled with his talent, his strength was so strong that even Lu Ming had no choice but to take him seriously. To be honest, Jin Yan's battle prowess was indeed stronger than Lei Yi's. Lei Yi was actually just an ordinary prodigy. He was just lucky to have entered the Dragon Clan's home planet a few decades earlier. With the help of a large amount of resources, he had cultivated his cultivation, divine power of origin, and secret arts of origin to a high level. However, everything else was very ordinary. For example, the use of divine power, secret arts of physique, and other auxiliary secret arts were all very ordinary. But Jin Yen was different. He was originally a top monster. Not only was his cultivation, divine power of origin, secret arts of origin powerful, secret arts of physique, and auxiliary secret arts were also incomparably profound. Although his cultivation was also at the 6th level of the Divine Lord realm, his battle prowess was definitely above Lei Yi's. If it was before the battle with Lei Yi, Lu Ming would probably not be Jin Yan's match. In a head-on battle he would be at a disadvantage. But now, his 11 types of divine power had all transformed 5 times. Coupled with the gate of domination that had severed his second shackle, it might not be the case. Boom. Boom. Both sides' attacks continued to collide and explode. But in the end, the two were still evenly matched. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. At this time, the remaining dozens of giant crabs had all been hunted down. The prodigies of various races looked at the battle between Lu Ming and Jin Yan. Some terrifying existences opened and closed their eyes, as if considering whether to take down Lu Ming. But at this time, someone suddenly rushed in the direction of the Dragon Palace. That's right, the Dragon Palace. Let's go, don't let others beat us to it. Let's go. Immediately, the prodigies of various races rushed in the direction of the Dragon Palace. Compared to the offer of the Winged Men tribe, the Dragon Palace was obviously more attractive. Some people originally wanted to attack Lu Ming, but when they saw the others rushing in the direction of the Dragon Palace, they could only give up and rush in the direction of the Dragon Palace. Boom. Lu Ming and Jin Yan exchanged a blow and both of them retreated. Kid, you have some strength. Now that I'm busy, I'll kill you another day, Jin Yan said and rushed in the direction of the Dragon Palace. Lu Ming's eyes flashed, but he did not continue to attack. It would be difficult to defeat Jin Yan. The only way was to exhaust his opponent's divine power, just like the previous battle with Lei Yi. Moreover, Jin Yan's defense was obviously stronger than Lei Yi's. It would be more difficult to kill him. Therefore, Lu Ming did not continue to attack and also rushed in the direction of the Dragon Palace. Everyone used all their strength and rushed in, wanting to rush into the Dragon Palace before the others and obtain the opportunity. At this moment, there was a loud roar and a huge creature suddenly appeared in front of them. It was a sea snake, but it was too huge. Its huge body wriggled up and down, making it impossible to see how long it was. It opened its mouth, and a terrifying devouring force burst forth. The geniuses who were flying at the front screamed in fear. They wanted to retreat, but they realized that they couldn't. Their bodies were being sucked into the sea snake's mouth. Not good. Attack, kill this sea snake. These people roared and all kinds of attacks erupted. Sword light, saber light, and other attacks all slashed at the black snake. But after their attacks flew out, they were affected by the devouring force and became powerless. They landed on the sea snake's mouth and were unable to break through its defenses. These geniuses let out desperate roars and frantically struggled, but it was useless. One by one, they were swallowed into the sea snake's mouth. Damn it, damn it. One of them was an extremely powerful youth. He crazily roared and struggled. He was like a resplendent sun. He actually managed to break free of the sea snake's devouring force and was about to charge out. This genius was definitely someone who had entered the dragon race's mother planet over 30 years ago. His combat power was not any weaker than Jin Yan's. Furthermore, he specialized in speed. He had flown to the front just now. The young man was about to break free, but in the next moment, a red light flashed and burst out from the sea snake's mouth. Everyone could clearly see that it was the sea snake's tongue. The sea snake's tongue flashed and swept toward that youth. That youth roared and used all his strength. His hands slashed out a resplendent divine light that was incomparably sharp. Unfortunately, it was unable to cut through the sea snake's tongue. Chapter 36:49. The sea snake's tongue swept out like a soft whip. It was as fast as lightning. Although the young man was strong, he couldn't escape at all and was directly entangled by the tongue. The sound of bones breaking could be heard. The young man vomited a large mouthful of blood, revealing a look of despair. "Save me, quickly save me." The young man screamed miserably. However, it was impossible for anyone to save him because the other geniuses had already retreated frantically. No one dared to stay, let alone save him. Lu Ming retreated even faster. With the wind-extinguishing boots on his feet, he had already run far away. What a joke, that sea snake was too terrifying. Lu Ming had sensed this aura many times before. There was no doubt that it was the aura of a quasi-emperor. That sea serpent was a quasi-emperor level existence. Although the prodigies here were powerful and there were likely 7th-level divine lord freaks among them, don't forget that this was the deep sea, the territory of the sea serpent. Even if it was that kind of freak facing a quasi-emperor level sea serpent, there was only death. CSI said sea snake hissed and rolled its tongue. In the end, the young man was sucked into it and disappeared. Then it widened its huge eyes and chased after the crowd. Run! Everyone ran for their lives, using as much strength as they could. Of course, those with higher cultivation were faster and ran at the front, while those with lower cultivation fell behind. No, help, help. Don't run. With so many of us joining forces, we might be able to fight it. Those who ran at the back cried out miserably. However, who cared about them? Even if they joined forces, they might not be able to deal with that sea snake. Even if they could kill it, who knew how many of them would die? Who would be willing to die? Therefore no one cared at all. Swoosh. At that moment, the sea snake's scarlet tongue stretched out again and swept out like lightning. A few geniuses were directly entangled and let out desperate cries. But it was useless. The sea snake's tongue rolled and swallowed them into its mouth. Those who ran at the back were so scared that their hair stood on end. They almost wet their pants and cried for their parents. Get to the back. Suddenly someone made a move. He attacked the person beside him, kicking him to the back with a kick. Ah, you're despicable. That person roared angrily. However, this also reminded the others. These people couldn't outrun the people in front of them, nor could they outrun the clown sea serpent. However, as long as they could outrun the others, their chances of survival would be very high. Thus, the people behind them all began to attack. They attacked the people beside them or the people in front of them. You dare. Bastard, you're courting death. Furious roars and the sounds of fighting rang out. The area behind them was in complete chaos. Some of the people who were blasted to the back were swallowed by the sea serpent. Damn it, run. The people behind him were scared out of their wits as they tried their best to increase their speed. In this way they quickly flew out of the trench. Fortunately, as soon as they flew out of the trench, the sea snake no longer chased after them. It coldly glanced at them and then slowly retreated back into the trench, disappearing without a trace. The group of geniuses at the back exhaled deeply. They realized that their bodies were covered in cold sweat. They had been scared to death just now. In the process of escaping, at least 100 geniuses were swallowed by the sea serpent. Seeing that the sea serpent had retreated, everyone ran for a while more before stopping. Lu Ming didn't stop. He kept running in front. When he saw that no one was around, he found a secret place to hide. What should we do now? That sea serpent is too strong. It's a quasi-emperor realm cultivator and it's in the deep sea. It's not something we can deal with. Are we going to give up on the Dragon Palace just like that? Everyone was discussing. They were unwilling to give up on the Dragon Palace just like that. They didn't expect that after passing through layers of sea beasts, there would be a powerful sea serpent blocking their way. Why don't we send a message to the illusory space and ask the seniors of the various races if they have any ideas? Someone suggested and it was approved by the others. Then, they sent what happened just now to the illusory space. As expected, they soon received a reply. Some people said that this sea serpent was called a dragon-devouring snake. It loved to eat divine dragons. In the heyday of the divine dragon race, this sea serpent was almost exterminated. It was hunted by the divine dragon race. They didn't expect that the guardian of the dragon palace was a dragon-devouring snake. At the same time, some seniors gave a suggestion. With the current strength of the dragon clan on the mother planet, it would be very difficult to defeat a quasi-emperor dragon-devouring snake. The only way was to use poison. Let the myriad poison tribe refine poison, then capture some dragonborn or real divine dragons and put the poison on them. The dragon-devouring snake loved to eat dragons. The dragonborn had the bloodline of the dragon race, so the dragon-devouring snake would definitely devour them. That way, the dragon-devouring snake would be able to poison the dragon-devouring snake to death. This was a suggestion from the older generation, which made many people's eyes light up. Does the myriad poison tribe have anything that can kill a dragon-devouring snake? Someone looked at some of the races wearing colorful robes. The myriad poison tribe was also a large tribe on the Eldritch 10,000 tribe roll. They were good at using poison. Their poison was so terrifying that it struck fear in people. The dragon-devouring snake is very strange. It's fine even after devouring so many prodigies. It won't be easy to kill it with poison. We don't have such a poison on us. A prodigy from the myriad poison tribe said. What? You don't have such a poison? Everyone else looked disappointed. Although we don't have such a poison, we can refine it. There are more than 300 people in the myriad poison tribe. If we work together, we can definitely refine it. But it will take some time. A prodigy from the myriad poison tribe said. How much time? Many people's eyes lit up again. 1 month will be enough. A prodigy from the myriad poison tribe said. Alright, then we'll split up. You refine the poison while we capture the dragonborn. It would be best if we could capture 2 real divine dragons. Alright, let's go. Then the prodigies from the various tribes split up. Some of them helped the myriad poison tribe look for ingredients to refine the poison, while others went to capture the dragonborn or divine dragons. Lu Ming used the illusory sacred jade to observe everyone's plan. They're going to capture the dragon-born and divine dragons. Lu Ming shook his head. However, he did not do anything. Although he had a good impression of the dragon-born and divine dragons, his ability was limited. He could not save them all. Time flew by. About half a month later, many of the prodigies who had gone to capture the dragon-born and divine dragons returned. "Aha, we caught an 8-clawed divine dragon." A young man laughed. He was Jin Yin from the Vajra tribe. Chapter 3650. At this moment, Jin Yin was tens of thousands of meters tall and was walking on the seabed. His body was golden and he was holding a divine dragon in one hand. An 8-clawed divine dragon. The body of this 8-clawed divine dragon writhed continuously as it struggled and roared. However, it couldn't break free at all. The difference in cultivation between him and Jin Yin was too great. An 8-clawed divine dragon. Ah, that's great. The dragon-devouring snake will definitely swallow him if it sees him. The success rate will be greatly increased. Many people laughed. The 8-clawed divine dragon's bloodline was richer and naturally attracted the attention of the dragon-devouring snake. They believed that the dragon-devouring snake would not miss out on an 8-clawed divine dragon. In the next half a month, people continued to return. However, no one caught a divine dragon. The divine dragons that appeared on the Dragon Tribe's mother planet were all the Dragon Tribe prodigies that had been sealed by the Dragon Tribe's elites. They were at least 8-clawed divine dragons and there were not many of them. It was not that easy to find them if they were hidden. However, they managed to capture quite a number of dragon humans. When a month was up, the 1,000 poison tribe members also returned. "How is it? How's the refining of the poison?" Someone hurriedly asked. "Don't worry, it's done. Just in case, we refined 36 pills in one go. Later, put more dragon humans in. Put one on each of them just in case," 1,000 poison tribe prodigy said. Then, everyone began to prepare to place the poison on the dragon humans and the 8-clawed divine dragon. These dragon humans and 8-clawed divine dragons were all controlled and could not move or resist. After the poison was placed, they began to arrange for the people to use the poison. Those with weaker cultivation naturally did not dare to go. In the end, a group of people with higher cultivation and speed was chosen to enter. These people were well prepared and had various treasures on them that could increase their speed. For example, there were talismans that could increase one's speed and artifacts that could increase one's speed. After everything was ready, these people carried the dragon humans and 8-clawed divine dragon and rushed into the trench again. The others waited quietly. Success or failure depended on this. Not long after, those people who had entered earlier rushed out in a hurry. "How is it?" someone hurriedly asked. "I've set up a set of formation flags inside. Can be seen." After saying that, a young man took out a jade talisman. The jade talisman shone and a picture appeared. 8-clawed divine dragons and the dragon human race were thrown on the ground in the deep, dark trench. They were probably at the location where they had hunted those giant crabs, or perhaps even further in. Everyone's eyes were focused on the painting. Would it attract the dragon-devouring snake? They didn't notice that Lu Ming had silently appeared not far away and witnessed everything. Time flew by in this tense atmosphere. Suddenly, a huge creature appeared in the darkness. It has appeared. Many people's hearts jumped. The gigantic creature was none other than the devouring dragon snake. The dragon-devouring snake's eyes were filled with greed as it stared at the 8-clawed divine dragon and the dragon humans. Then it swam towards them. After that, a scarlet-red snake tongue swept out, coiled around the 8-clawed divine dragon, and swallowed it into its mouth. However, the dragon-devouring snake was still not satisfied. It opened its mouth wide and a powerful suction force burst forth, swallowing the remaining dragon men one by one. "All right." Everyone cheered loudly and continued to wait anxiously. Would those poisons be able to kill the dragon-devouring snake? Soon the answer was given. The dragon-devouring snake had swallowed the 8-clawed divine dragon and the dragon humans. In less than a minute, the dragon-devouring snake let out a hiss and started to writhe and roll on the ground. It stirred up muddy water and caused the seawater to tremble. Even though they were far away, they could feel it clearly. Many people turned pale. Fortunately, they were so far away. The dragon-devouring snake was much stronger than they had imagined. The dragon-devouring snake continued to roll on the ground for half an hour before its movements gradually slowed down. In the end, it lay limp on the ground, motionless. "Is it dead?" someone asked in a low voice, looking puzzled. "It must be dead. The dragon-devouring snake has a huge appetite. It has swallowed all the poisons. No matter how strong it is, it will die." A young man from the Thousand Poison tribe sneered confidently. Let's go in. Seeing that the dragon-devouring snake had been poisoned, someone couldn't help but fly into the trench. The others did the same. They all flew into the trench, afraid that they would be slower than the others. Lu Ming followed behind from a distance. Soon the group entered the trench and saw the dragon-devouring snake. The dragon-devouring snake was huge. No one knew how long it was. It lay limp on the ground, seemingly lifeless. The ground was full of bumps and hollows, with long pits appearing one after another. What a terrifying power! Someone muttered. Everything on the dragon tribe's mother planet was very sturdy. It was not something that other planets could compare to. It was a planet that had been nurtured since the beginning of time. The trench was under strong water pressure all year round. The rocks had become even harder, like divine metal. When the group fought with the sea beasts, the impact of their attacks could only leave slight marks on the rocks. On the other hand, the dragon-devouring snake had turned the trench into a mess. It was obvious that the dragon-devouring snake was powerful. No matter how strong it is, it will die under the poison of the Thousand Poison tribe. The Sky Prides of the Thousand Poison tribe were very arrogant. They came to the side of the dragon-devouring snake and sneered. The others also flew past the dragon-devouring snake's head. At that moment, the dragon-devouring snake, which had been lying limp on the ground, suddenly opened its eyes. Then its huge body twisted, and its huge head, which was like a small mountain, slammed into a group of young men. Bam! A huge explosion rang out as those young men were directly blasted apart, dying on the spot. In an instant, at least a dozen Sky Prides of various races died. The Thousand Poison tribe had it the worst. They were the closest to the group. At least half of those who were killed were from the Thousand Poison tribe. It happened so suddenly that the others were scared out of their wits. Not good. The dragon-devouring snake is not dead. It was pretending to be dead. Run. The Sky Prides of various races shouted. The dragon-devouring snake let out a hiss. Its huge body twisted, and at the same time, it swung its tail and whipped some of the Sky Prides. Explosions sounded continuously. More and more Sky Prides died. Block it. Kill it. Someone shouted. Dazzling divine light exploded and blasted toward the dragon-devouring snake. A huge explosion occurred in the area and the seawater surged. In the end, it was blocked. Many people's eyes lit up. Everyone, don't panic. This dragon-devouring snake is deeply poisoned. It doesn't have much strength left. If we work together, we will definitely be able to kill it. Someone shouted. It was a creature with 2 wolf heads. Chapter 36:51. The two-headed wolf tribe was one of the strongest tribes in the primitive 10,000 tribes board. This person had entered the dragon tribe's mother star 30 years ago. He was extremely powerful and his cultivation was terrifying. He had reached the 7th level Divine Lord realm. His 2 heads roared and divine light shot out from his mouth, blocking the dragon-devouring snake's attack. Many people's eyes lit up when they saw this. That's right. The dragon-devouring snake was indeed much weaker than before. If it was before, the 2-headed wolf tribe's Sky Pride would not have been able to block it. But now it could block it. Let's work together and kill it. Jin Yin from the Vajra tribe also stopped. Divine Vajra Fist. Jin Yin roared and his body enlarged. Divine light shone brightly as he punched out with his fists. The seawater exploded as the terrifying fist energy blasted towards the dragon-devouring snake. Flying Snow Sword Art. Ice Blade Light. Instantly, all sorts of terrifying attacks were launched towards the dragon-devouring snake. All the Sky Prides had joined forces. All sorts of attacks formed a torrent of attacks that were extremely powerful. Finally, the dragon-devouring snake could not hold on any longer and was sent flying. The scales on its body were cracked open and wounds appeared on its body. Attack its head and vital points. The 2-headed wolf tribe's Sky Pride roared. He turned into a giant wolf with 2 heads and was extremely fast. He leaped in the air and charged towards the dragon-devouring snake's head. 2 rays of divine light shot out from his mouth and blasted one of the dragon-devouring snake's eyes. The dragon-devouring snake hissed and spat out its tongue. It wanted to attack the 2-headed wolf tribe's Sky Pride, but he dodged it easily. The dragon-devouring snake's strength had indeed decreased greatly. Its attack speed had slowed down and it could no longer keep up with the 2-headed wolf tribe's speed. The dragon-devouring snake hissed in indignation, but the outcome was already decided. The Thousand Poison tribe's poison was indeed very powerful. It had severely injured the dragon-devouring snake and the effects of the poison were still in effect. The outcome was already decided. Under the attacks of so many sky prides, the dragon-devouring snake's body was covered in wounds. A few minutes later, the dragon-devouring snake slumped to the ground. It was truly dead this time. Damn beast. The members of the Myriad Poison tribe were infuriated. They waved their hands repeatedly, sending poisonous gas into the dragon-devouring snake's mouth and nose. Just now, the devouring dragon snake had been so ferocious that it had killed at least dozens of Myriad Poison race's geniuses. This made them extremely furious. However, the others couldn't be bothered to care. The way they saw it, the more people from the 10,000 Poison clan died, the less competition they would have. At this moment, some people were already rushing towards Dragon Palace. Go! The others also reacted and flew in one after another. Of course, this time, everyone was a lot more careful. They set up layers of defenses in front of them. Who knew if there was any danger inside? If another dragon-devouring snake were to appear, wouldn't he be vomiting blood? However, they worried too much. There was no danger at all. Soon they arrived at the depths of the trench. However, when they arrived here, they all stopped. Is this the Dragon Palace? Some people were puzzled. Previously, they could see a corner of the palace from afar. When they walked in, they could only see a corner of the palace. Yes, it was really a corner of the palace. The rest of the palace was buried in the rocks, and only a corner was exposed. Could the Dragon Palace be buried underground? It seems very likely. Looks like we have to dig it ourselves. The rocks here are extremely hard. I wonder how long it'll take to dig it out. Everyone discussed animatedly. Obviously, this scene was beyond everyone's expectations. The entrance of the Dragon Palace was not easy to enter. Let's do it, someone said. He did not want to wait any longer and wanted to start digging. Wait a minute. Suddenly, someone called out. What's wrong? Someone asked. I feel that something's wrong. Do you feel that the ground is shaking? A young man with particularly large ears said. He was a prodigy of the Big Ears clan. The ground is shaking? Many people were puzzled, but more of them were solemn. They knew that the people of the Big Ears clan were gifted with amazing hearing. They could hear very subtle movements that ordinary people could not. Retreat. Some people were a little afraid and retreated. The others followed suit and retreated a distance away. Rumble. At that moment, a muffled sound was heard. This time everyone heard it. Retreat. Everyone retreated again because they felt that the rumbling sound came from under their feet. The next moment, the rumbling sound became louder and louder. Then cracks appeared on the ground. More and more cracks appeared and soon covered the ground. Rumble. Bang. 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 Loud noises were heard continuously. The ground exploded and rocks flew everywhere. Then, an incomparably huge palace rose from the ground. The Dragon Palace is rising. The Dragon Palace is about to appear. Many people exclaimed and were pleasantly surprised. They did not expect that the Dragon Palace would appear without them having to dig it out themselves. This couldn't be any better. However, everyone's voices came to an abrupt halt. Everyone, including Lu Ming, could not help but widen their eyes and stare in front of them. To be precise, they were staring at the bottom of the palace. Below the huge palace, an incomparably huge living being appeared. It was a tortoise. It was a huge tortoise. No one knew how big it was. On the back of the tortoise was the Dragon Palace. The legendary Dragon Palace was sitting on the back of a tortoise. Most importantly, the tortoise was still alive. It opened its eyes and looked at Lu Ming and the others. Everyone's muscles could not help but tense up. It was as if their hearts were about to stop beating. The legendary Dragon Palace was actually built on the back of a gigantic tortoise. Then, how powerful was this tortoise? At this moment, the sky prides of the various races looked terrible. Needless to say, the tortoise was definitely unimaginably powerful. It could probably wipe out everyone present with a puff of air. Everyone tensed up and did not dare to move. They did not even dare to breathe loudly. As for running away, it was impossible. Running away in front of such an existence was undoubtedly courting death. It was impossible to escape. However, the giant tortoise did not seem to be interested in them. After it appeared, it continued to lie on the ground with its eyes closed. It did not move at all, as if it had turned into a huge rock. Everyone looked at each other. However, they finally heaved a sigh of relief. What's going on? Does the tortoise not care about us? Maybe it purposely came out to let the Dragon Palace appear so that we can enter it. Is there such a thing? Everyone was puzzled, but no one dared to step forward for a while. What a joke. It was too dangerous to go up now. Everyone looked at the Dragon Palace in front of them, and the situation suddenly came to a standstill. Everyone was waiting for someone else to go up and test it, But who would be so stupid? Chapter 3652. The stalemate lasted for a couple of hours. Still no one made a move. How about this? I will control my bugs and try it out. Finally, someone couldn't wait any longer. It was a member of the Thousand Poison race. People of the Thousand Poison race would usually keep some poisonous bugs with them so that they could use them to fight against their enemies. Okay, let's give it a try. The other's eyes glowed. Then a young man from the Thousand Poison race waved his hand. Over a dozen poisonous bugs, including centipedes, scorpions, and spiders, flew toward the Dragon Palace. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The others stepped back in unison. The chosen one of the Thousand Poison race. While everyone was waiting anxiously, the dozen poisonous bugs entered the Dragon Palace. Was fine. The turtle didn't move at all, as if it had really turned into a stone. He could see that the door of the Dragon Palace was open. More than 10 venomous worms crawled into the Dragon Palace and disappeared. Still, the turtle didn't do anything. It's true. We can go in. Some people's eyes were glowing, but they still didn't have the courage to step forward. Let's put 2 more pets and see. Someone reminded them. After all, poisonous bugs were just bugs. They could go in, but they were still worried. In the end, some people let out their pets. Some people would take their pets with them so that they could fight alongside them at critical moments. Several large pets were full of vigor. They dashed into the Dragon Palace and nothing happened. It's really fine. Let's go. Fortune comes from danger. How can we cultivate if we are afraid of this and that? Finally, some of the braver ones couldn't stand it anymore. They restrained their energy and dashed toward the gate. Soon they made it in and nothing happened. It's really fine. Let's go. At this moment, no one could sit still. They all dashed toward the gate. Lu Ming followed the crowd and dashed toward the main gate of the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace was huge. No one could tell how many square miles it occupied. Even the gate was huge. They were no different from a speck of dust when they went in. Nothing happened. They successfully made it through the gate. Behind the gate were many corridors that led to different directions. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The chosen ones of the various races dashed toward different corridors. It wasn't that no one had noticed Lu Ming. But compared to Lu Ming, they were more interested in the treasures in the Dragon Palace. The sky prides of the various races quickly disappeared into the huge Dragon Palace. Lu Ming also chose a corridor and ran down it. The houses in the Dragon Palace were incomparably huge. This was probably due to the size of the dragon race. One set of palaces and halls, one set of palaces connected to another. Lu Ming rushed past several palaces in a row, but he was disappointed as he didn't obtain anything. Where was the treasure? There were no treasures in the huge Dragon Palace. What's going on? There's nothing? This is the Dragon Palace? You're lying, right? *CK. Many people were cursing, but the result was probably the same as Lu Ming's. They didn't get anything. It was not that someone had beaten them to it. There were a few palaces that absolutely no one had entered. After Lu Ming entered, he did not discover anything. Everyone was unwilling to accept this. He had worked so hard to come to the Dragon Palace. Was he going to return empty-handed? The crowd continued to move deeper into the Dragon Palace. Perhaps there was a treasure house in the Dragon Palace, and all the treasures were kept in the treasure house? The crowd continued to search, but after a few hours they were disappointed. There was nothing. After searching everywhere they found nothing. This was an empty Dragon Palace. There's a discovery behind the Dragon Palace. Let's go and take a look. Many people rushed to the back of the Dragon Palace. Because someone had just sent a message in the illusory space, saying that there was a major discovery behind the Dragon Palace. Lu Ming naturally saw it and also went to the back of the Dragon Palace. After winding around countless palaces, his field of vision suddenly widened. An open space appeared in front of Lu Ming. This open space was very large and he couldn't see the end of it. At this time, a large number of people had gathered in this open space. The sky prides of various clans had all arrived. Everyone carefully looked at the open space under their feet. Lu Ming also realized that something was amiss. The ground was filled with strange runes. The runes were twisted in an irregular pattern, but they intertwined with each other to form a strange pattern. It was like the pattern on the back of a turtle. This should be an array. Someone concluded. What kind of array? Someone asked. It's an array similar to a portal. As long as you open this array you can go to a place. The person from before said. An array similar to a portal? Many people's eyes lit up. They all thought of the same place. The Dragon Palace treasury. That's right. There was nothing in the Dragon Palace. Could it be that all the treasures had been moved to a place, and the gate was the array in front of them? Can this array be broken? Someone asked. It will take some time, but it shouldn't be difficult. A young man answered. The Sky Prides here came from various major clans in the primitive universe, and each of them was good at different things. Some clans were very good at array formations. Okay, let's begin then. Everyone said, and some of them couldn't wait. Then, some who were good at array formations began to study array formations. Swish. Suddenly, a few figures flashed and surrounded Lu Ming. Lu Ming, you really dare to come. I didn't have time to deal with you before, but now die. Jin Yen said coldly. His voice was full of murderous intent. The other few people were also top monsters of the Vajra clan. The gazes of the others also turned to this side. Then a few more figures flashed and rushed over. Powerful auras shrouded Lu Ming. This kid is mine. One of the young men with 8 arms sneered. He was also a top Sky Pride who entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet more than 30 years ago. Now that he had reached the 6th level Divine Lord realm, his strength was not weaker than Jin Yen. This person also led a few powerful clansmen to surround Lu Ming. Well, this kid is not weak. If you and I join forces, we have a better chance. Jin Yen said. Count me in. Another cold voice sounded. A young man with green skin walked over. At a glance, one could tell that this person was a vine. His hair was made of vines that danced like small snakes. Lu Ming had once killed a Sky Pride of the Vine clan. This person was going to avenge that Sky Pride of the Vine clan. This person was also a top powerhouse. 3 top powerhouses and more than a dozen monstrous experts held Lu Ming back. There were other top powerhouses around, such as the Two-Headed Wolf clan, who did not participate. It was not that these people did not want to participate, but they wanted to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight, then reap the benefits. After all, no one would not be tempted by a condition from the Winged Men clan. Chapter 3653. Lu Ming's expression turned cold. Did these people really think he was a pushover that they could bully? Kill? Suddenly Lu Ming attacked. Stepping on the wind-extinguishing boots, he charged in a certain direction, his spear light stabbing in that direction. Strike first and gain the upper hand. However, Jin Yen and the others were already prepared. The moment Lu Ming attacked, Jin Yen and the others attacked as well. Boom, boom, boom. Powerful auras erupted. Jin Yen and the others were covered in resplendent light. This kid is trying to escape. Stop him. Don't let him escape. With a furious roar, Jin Yen and the expert from the Vine clan pounced on Lu Ming. Terrifying fist energy and emerald green vines wrapped around Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming directly took out the Gate of Gods to block in front of him. The attacks of Jin Yen and the Vine race prodigy landed on the Gate of Dominion, causing it to shake continuously. However, the Gate of Dominion had already severed 2 of its shackles, so it successfully blocked the attacks of Jin Yen and the Vine race prodigy. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lu Ming turned and charged in another direction. Ding ling ling as he charged out, the heavenly evil bell rang. The heavenly evil bell soul attack spread out. Jin Yen and the other 2 strongest experts didn't feel anything, but the others froze. Just like that, their fate was sealed. Swish swish. The Tyrant God's spear turned into 2 resplendent spear lights, stabbing at 2 multi-hand race experts. Some of the multi-hand race had 4 arms, while others had 6. The more arms they had, the higher their talent. The 2 multi-hand race experts that Lu Ming attacked both had 6 arms. They were very talented and had a 4th level Divine Lord cultivation base. They were peak monsters that had recently entered the dragon race's mother planet. However, in front of the current Lu Ming, they couldn't withstand a single blow. Pupio. 2 explosions rang out as blood splattered everywhere. The 2 Sky Prides of the multi-hand race were killed on the spot. Damn it. The 8-armed multi-armed race freak roared in anger. His 8 palms glowed brightly, and each of his palms shot out a terrifying attack towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming shook the Overlord God's spear and continued to resist. This person was really strong. Lu Ming burst out with all his strength and could only barely block the other party's attack. At this moment, Jin Yen and the prodigy from the Vine tribe also charged forward. Everyone else back off. Just assist in the attack. Jin Yen shouted. Among those present, only the 3 top experts were capable of fighting against Lu Ming. If the others were to join the battle, they would most likely be killed by Lu Ming. Therefore, Jin Yen had ordered the others to stay far away. They only needed to interfere with Lu Ming. The few Golden Yen race and multi-hand race youths retreated hastily, trying to distance themselves from Lu Ming. On the other hand, Jin Yen and the other 2 unleashed a barrage of attacks. Kill? Lu Ming activated the God's Gate with all his strength. A whirlpool appeared on top of the God's Gate, and a roar came from within. Then a scaly arm reached out and grabbed at Jin Yen. Boom. Jin Yen punched out, clashing with the arm within the god's gate. Then Lu Ming brandished the Overlord God's spear and stabbed it at Jin Yen. The two consecutive attacks forced Jin Yen to retreat. Lu Ming took the chance to charge past them. "I'm not going to play with you anymore." Lu Ming's voice rang out as he pulled away from Jin Yen and the others. Facing three such experts, Lu Ming was indeed not their match. But if he wanted to leave with the speed of the wind-extinguishing boots, they wouldn't be able to stop him. "Damn it. If you have the guts, don't leave." Jin Yen roared. "Are you stupid or am I stupid? The three of you are at the 6th level of the Divine Lord realm, yet you want me to leave? You really are geniuses." Lu Ming's tone was full of sarcasm as he emphasized the two words, genius. That made Jin Yen and the others' expressions turn ugly. "Look, what is this?" Suddenly a shout rang out. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and was stunned. The two multi-hand races geniuses that Lu Ming had just killed were lying on the ground. Their blood was being absorbed by the ground, and the runes on the ground were shining with a blood-red light as if they were alive. "I know. The method to break this formation is very simple. You just need to pour blood on it," shouted one of the youths who had broken the formation. Everyone's heart shook. "You just need to water it with fresh blood. This method is very simple." Suddenly, a miserable cry rang out. It turned out that someone had suddenly made a move, attacking the person beside him. "Damn it, how dare you! Flying fish races people die. You sneak attack. You're despicable." Chaos erupted all of a sudden. The geniuses present came from different races, and many of them had enmity with each other. Previously, because they had a common goal and the other races were eyeing them covetously, they hadn't attacked. But now, after learning that the method to break the formation was to pour blood on it, some of them couldn't help but attack their enemies. "Use your blood to open the formation. Use your mother? You're the one who should be using it. Kill. Die for me." The scene fell into chaos. Everyone was fighting fiercely. Jin Yen, the multi-hand race's geniuses, and the others also stopped attacking Lu Ming and stayed with their people to avoid being killed by others. That was because some terrifying geniuses had also attacked. There were also some terrifying existences that wanted to take the opportunity to attack Lu Ming, but now they had no choice but to stop. In a chaotic battle, a large number of geniuses were killed. In just a short while, over 100 people had died. These people fell to the ground and their blood was absorbed by the ground. The blood flowed along the runes on the ground, emitting a dazzling light. When all of the vein patterns were connected, a pillar of light shot up into the sky. The entire ground was glowing and there was even a slight tremor. "The formation is about to open," shouted someone. Many people hastily stopped fighting and retreated. However, some people's eyes were bloodshot. Since they were still fighting, they looked like they wanted to kill their opponents. Crack. Cracking sounds came from the ground. Those runes seemed like they were about to split open. At the same time, a scorching aura spread out. This scorching aura was extremely hot. The temperature was shockingly high. Many people felt like their bodies were about to ignite. At that moment, the people who were still fighting no longer dared to continue fighting. They all stopped and rushed to the surroundings, arriving at a place where there were no vein patterns. Those places without runes weren't scorching at all. It was very strange. At this time, the ground had become fiery red. It was as if flames were burning. A moment later, with a loud boom, the ground exploded. Then a pitch-black tunnel with a fiery red glow appeared before everyone's eyes. Chapter 3654. A huge passageway appeared in front of everyone. This passageway looked pitch black, but there was a faint red light spreading out. As for that scorching aura, it had also disappeared. "It's open." Many people's eyes revealed a scorching light. In their opinion, this must be the place where the Dragon Palace hid their treasures. Swish. Someone couldn't bear it and rushed out. Of course, he was very careful, using his divine power and divine artifact to protect himself. However, nothing strange happened. That person floated above the passageway, pondered for a moment, and then rushed into the passageway. "Let's go." At this time, the others also couldn't bear it. Their figures flickered and they rushed into the passageway and then rushed down. Lu Ming was at the back. Seeing the others rushing down, Lu Ming also rushed up. If this was the place where the Dragon Palace hid their treasures, they couldn't miss it. As for experts like Jin Yen, Lu Ming was confident that he could escape even if he couldn't defeat them. The passageway was very big and it went straight down. As soon as Lu Ming and the others rushed into the passageway, they felt a strong gravitational force acting on them, trying to pull them down. Of course, they could still withstand this gravitational force and they could also fly up. However, their goal was to go down, so they went with the flow. Their bodies were like meteorites rapidly falling down. Whoosh, whoosh. The wind blew and they fell very fast. However, this passageway seemed to be unfathomably deep. They fell for a few hours, but they still hadn't reached the bottom. With their falling speed, the distance of a few hours was already very shocking, but they still hadn't reached the bottom of the passageway. How deep was this passageway? This passageway won't lead to the core of the Dragon Clan's mother planet, right? Someone muttered. Hearing this, the others' faces changed slightly. The Dragon Clan's mother planet was not an ordinary planet. Even the surface was extraordinary. Would the core of the planet be dangerous? But at this point, how could they give up so easily? They kept falling. 5 hours, 10 hours. 1 day, 2 days. They kept falling for 3 days, and the further they went, the higher the temperature. The air was filled with a scorching aura. Were they really going to reach the core of the planet? Everyone's face was solemn. In 3 days, they didn't know how much distance they had fallen. At this time, everyone could see a bright red light below. They were going to reach it. Everyone's spirits are lifted. Sure enough, not long after, everyone descended into a huge underground space. This underground space was extremely vast, as if it was a world of its own. Everyone's eyes were wide open because the underground space was too spectacular. At the bottom was the lava lake. The boundless magma emitted a scorching aura and the smell of sulfur. Everyone needed to circulate their divine power to withstand the high temperature in the air. And in the space above the magma lake, there were many floating mountains. Yes, there were numerous mountains floating in the air. The mountains were completely red, and needless to say, the temperature was shockingly high. The most shocking thing was that there were actually living creatures living on the mountain peak. Quack quack, the sounds of birds chirping could be heard as fiery red birds flew out from the mountain peaks one after another. These birds had crimson feathers that seemed to have flames dancing on them. They swooped down from the hanging mountain towards the lava lake. Like arrows released from a bow, their slender beaks plunged into the lava lake, and in the next moment, a fiery red fish appeared in their beaks. Everyone was dumbfounded. This was the core of the dragon race's mother planet. In the sky above the lava lake, there were mountains floating. On the mountains lived a type of bird, and in the lava lake, there were actually fish, forming a simple ecosystem that left everyone dumbfounded. Amazing, truly amazing. Someone sighed. Is the treasure of the Dragon Palace here? Perhaps it's hidden somewhere. Not to mention the treasure of the Dragon Palace, even in such an environment, there should be peerless treasures. Let's go and look for it. The various geniuses discussed for a while, then spread out and flew in all directions to search. Their targets were the floating mountains and the lava lake. When someone approached one of the floating mountains, a bird chirped, and a fiery bird flew out like a fiery red sword, stabbing towards one of the geniuses. Scram! The sky pride roared in anger as he sent out a resplendent palm strike towards the firebird. With a boom, the fiery bird was sent flying, but it was fine. After rolling a few times, it roared angrily and pounced towards the youth. At the same time, a few dozen fiery birds flew out from the mountain. We're here to help you. That genius did not come alone, but with his clansmen. Over 100 geniuses charged towards the fiery birds. The fiery birds finally could not resist, and more than half of them were killed while the rest hurriedly fled. At this time, there was also an abnormality in the lava below. Someone was looking at the surface of the lava. Suddenly, the lava churned and a giant fish appeared, swallowing a genius in one gulp, and then disappeared into the lava. Many people's hearts sank. It seemed that there were not only small fish under the lava, but also terrifying and ferocious giant fish. This place was not that safe. Everyone braced themselves, and while on guard, they searched. Suddenly, news came from a direction, saying that there was a major discovery. Everyone hurriedly rushed in that direction, and Lu Ming followed behind silently. Soon they arrived at their destination. That is, many people could not help but widen their eyes. In front of them there was a huge lotus. Yes, a fiery red lotus was floating in the air. The lotus was in full bloom, and in the middle of the lotus was a small dragon. To be precise, it was not a real dragon but more like a stream of air. A stream of air as thick as a thumb, about a meter long, was suspended vertically above the lotus, constantly twisting and turning. At first it looked like a small dragon, but in the next moment, it turned into a transparent stream of air. The shape of the stream of air and the shape of the dragon were constantly changing. It was a stream of energy. That was the consensus of everyone. A stream of energy was suspended above a fiery red lotus, and it looked extraordinary at first glance. Someone could not help but want to fly forward. "Don't go up, it's very dangerous there." Someone went up before, but before he could get close to the lotus, he died and turned into ashes. Someone hurriedly reminded them. As soon as that was said, many people were shocked, and those who were about to step forward also stopped. No wonder the news spread. It turned out that it was not so easy to get it. If it was easy to get it, it would have been taken away long ago. How could the news spread? "What's going on?" someone asked. "I don't know." When someone got close, he directly turned into ashes. Someone said with a grave expression. Chapter 36:55. Instead of dispelling everyone's thoughts, it made some people even more greedy. The more dangerous and strange it was, the more extraordinary it was. Moreover, everyone had a preconceived notion that this was the treasure trove of the Dragon Palace, so they were even more certain that it was a treasure. This is a fire attribute treasure. Ordinary people definitely don't have the fortune to enjoy it. This kind of treasure should belong to my sacred Flaming Lion clan. At this moment, a burly young man sneered. He was wearing a fiery red armor and his skin was red. As he circulated his divine power, his whole body exuded a scorching aura. This was a genius from the Divine Flaming Lion clan. The Divine Flaming Lion clan was a clan that was born to play with fire. It was also an extremely powerful clan on the list of 10,000 primitive clans. When others came here, they would feel uncomfortable all over and need to circulate their divine power to resist the scorching aura outside. However, when the Divine Flaming Lion clan came here, not only did they not feel uncomfortable, but they felt very comfortable. They were like fish in water. Cultivating here would make their cultivation speed faster. Therefore, in the eyes of the Divine Flaming Lion clan, the treasure on the fire lotus was their opportunity. The genius of the Divine Flaming Lion clan stepped forward with a cold and arrogant expression and flew toward the fire lotus. Of course, he didn't dare to be careless. The fiery red armor shone and covered his body tightly. In addition, he also took out several divine weapons, all of which were monarch-level divine weapons. There was a fiery red shield and a fiery red bead. Several treasures shrouded him tightly. Then he approached the fire lotus. He was getting closer and closer. Soon, the genius of the Divine Flaming Lion clan was within 1,000 meters of the fire lotus. Suddenly, very abruptly, the body of the Divine Flaming Lion clan burned fiercely. The genius of the Divine Flaming Lion clan was originally covered in flames. His treasures were also filled with heat and the temperature was shockingly high. However, on the basis that he was covered in flames, he burned. It was as if the flames on the genius of the Divine Flaming Lion clan were not flames, but charcoal. The genius of the Divine Flaming Lion clan only let out a scream. Then his body, along with his divine weapons, directly turned into ashes and scattered on the magma lake. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Although the genius of the Divine Flaming Lion clan only had a third-level Divine Lord cultivation base, he controlled flames. Ordinary flames were useless to him and would instead become his tonic. But now he only had time to let out a miserable scream before dying on the spot. That's terrifying. Everyone looked at each other. For a moment, no one dared to step forward. What the hell is this? I don't know, but it is definitely a rare treasure. Nonsense, it's so strange. It's definitely a treasure. The question is, how did I get it? The sky prides of the various clans discussed fervently. Let me try. At this moment, another voice resounded, and then a figure charged out. This was a red-robed young man, and he was also a fire-type creature. Everyone recognized that he was from the fire spirit race. Boom! The young man's aura erupted, and his body completely transformed into a ball of flames. A powerful aura filled the air. 6th level Divine Lord. Many people were shocked. This was a top monster. Furthermore, he entered the dragon race's mother planet over 30 years ago. His cultivation already reached 6th level Divine Lord and was one of the strongest people present. However, he was also very cautious. He completely transformed into flames and slowly flew forward. Soon he was within 1,000 meters of the fire lotus. Out of thin air, a layer of flames appeared on his body and burned fiercely. However, the man from the Fire Spirit clan didn't burn to ashes like the prodigy from the Divine Fire Lion clan. He successfully withstood the attack. Then he slowly approached the fire lotus. Blocked it. Looks like he's going to succeed. The Fire Spirit race is stronger than the Divine Fire Lion race in playing with fire. Moreover, his cultivation is still 6th level Divine Lord. It's normal for him to block it. Everyone discussed. As for the Fire Spirit race youth, he slowly approached the fire lotus. He was getting closer and closer to the fire lotus. When he was 100 meters away from the fire lotus, he suddenly let out a scream of horror. "Oh!" The fire spirit race youth roared. The flames twisted as if he wanted to retreat. But at the next moment, with a bang, his body directly exploded and disappeared without a trace. Dead. Everyone looked at each other, their faces pale. Even the fire spirit race's prodigy, a 6th-level divine lord existence, could not get close to the fire lotus. It seemed that they could not get this treasure. What is this treasure? Has anyone seen it before? I don't know. I've never seen or heard of it before. Let's send it to the Dream Realm and ask the seniors of the various races. Then they used the Dream Realm Divine Jade to record the fire lotus and the airflow above it and placed it in the Dream Realm. How is this possible? How can this thing be here? At this moment in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness, Bone Devil seemed to have received a great shock and screamed in disbelief. Of course, outsiders could not hear it. Only Lu Ming could hear it. "Senior Bone Devil, what's wrong?" Lu Ming asked in surprise. Bone Devil's origin was mysterious and unfathomable. In the past, no matter what he encountered, he was very calm. It was rare for him to lose his composure. But now, Lu Ming could clearly see that Bone Devil's pitch-black bones were trembling. The 2 souls in his eye sockets were constantly jumping. Lu Ming could clearly feel shock, horror, greed, disbelief, fear and other different emotions. What could make Bone Devil do such a thing? That lotus or that airflow above it? What could make Bone Devil lose his composure? Did I see wrongly? No, I shouldn't have seen wrongly. Why would this thing appear here? I finally understand why the Divine Dragon race was destroyed. Bone Devil did not answer Lu Ming's question. Instead, he muttered to himself. However, Lu Ming was greatly shocked. Bone Devil had guessed the truth behind the Divine Dragon race's destruction. Lu Ming had always been curious as to why those powerful races would join hands to besiege the Divine Dragon race. Even the Heavenly Palace had taken action. Could it be that Bone Devil understood? "Senior Bone Devil, what do you understand?" Lu Ming hurriedly asked. "It's because of that airflow," Bone Devil said. That airflow above the lotus." Lu Ming looked at the airflow above the lotus, full of suspicion. Just because of this airflow, the Divine Dragon race, which had dominated the universe back then, was annihilated. That airflow was so shocking. "Kid, don't underestimate that airflow. If I'm not wrong, that's a taboo power," Bone Devil said. Chapter 3656. When he said the word, taboo, the soul fire in Bone Devil's eye sockets flickered, revealing a deep fear and yearning. It was very complicated. Taboo power. Lu Ming was shocked. When he heard the word, taboo power, he thought of Xian Yanqing. Back then, when Hong Yang came to take away Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan, he had mentioned that Xian Yanqing's father in his previous life was a taboo. What was the relationship between the two? What is taboo power? Lu Ming asked the question in his heart. I don't know exactly what taboo power is. It's very mysterious, but what I can be sure of is that it's a kind of heaven-defying power. Once it's fused, one's talent will reach an unimaginable level, and one's future will be limitless. It's a kind of supreme treasure that nothing can compare to. However, I heard a legend that the Heavenly Palace is extremely afraid of taboo power. Once they know about taboo power, they will do whatever it takes to get it. So I guess that the Divine Dragon clan obtained taboo power, and that's why they were annihilated by the Heavenly Palace. Bone Devil said. A power that even the Heavenly Palace is afraid of. Lu Ming was deeply shocked. In the primitive universe, at the beginning of the universe, the primordial divine spirits were born. That era was called the Age of Incipient Gods, and the primordial divine spirits dominated the world. Later, the Heavenly Palace appeared and fought with the primordial divine spirits, and almost destroyed the primordial divine spirits. Since then, the Heavenly Palace was high and mighty, ruling the vast universe, and entered the Age of Heavenly Palace. Even the powerful Heavenly Palace was afraid of taboo power. Then, Xian Yanqing's father in his previous life was called a taboo. Was it related to taboo power? If that was the case, then the enemy of Xian Yanqing's family in his previous life was the Heavenly Palace. At this moment, Lu Ming thought of a lot of things. At the same time, his heart was burning. Even the Heavenly Palace was afraid of power. If he could get it, then, the more he thought about it, the more Lu Ming's heart was burning. But when he thought of the Fire Spirit clan, Lu Ming shook his head and sighed. Maybe he would be turned into ashes before he could get close. A power that even the Heavenly Palace feared would not be easy to obtain. At this time, Guillemot also seemed to have a lot on his mind. He did not continue to speak as if he was thinking about something. But not long after, there was an uproar in the dreamland. because someone from the heavenly palace had appeared. Moreover, it was a great figure of the heavenly palace. It was all because of that strand of qi. Previously, someone had transmitted the airflow from the fire lotus into the illusory space, which had attracted the attention of the heavenly palace. This shocked the whole starry sky. But what was even more shocking was yet to come. An important person from the heavenly palace came out and asked the heavenly legends in the Dragon Clan's mother planet to get the heavenly legend. They must get it, whether they use it for themselves or keep it with treasures. The heavenly palace would confer the title of Son of Heaven or Daughter of Heaven to whoever got it. Once this news came out, the entire primitive universe, countless races and countless forces were in an uproar. Even the top 10 races were in an uproar. The heavenly palace would confer the title of Son of Heaven or Daughter of Heaven to whoever got the heavenly legend. Countless people's eyes were red. Especially the heavenly legends who entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Their eyes were full of greed. Those who did not enter the Dragon Clan's mother planet were all envious. Once they became Son of Heaven or Daughter of Heaven, they would have a meteoric rise. They were Son of Heaven or Daughter of Heaven. Only the top heavenly legends in the heavenly palace could be conferred the title of Son of Heaven or Daughter of Heaven. It was like an ordinary person suddenly becoming a prince or daughter of heaven. In fact, the heavenly palace would recruit a group of heavenly legends from the primitive universe every once in a while and train them in the heavenly palace. However, after these heavenly legends entered the heavenly palace, they could only become heavenly soldiers. For example, in the secular dynasty, heavenly soldiers were ordinary soldiers, and heavenly legends were princes or daughters of heaven. Their identities were worlds apart. It would be strange if the heavenly legends of various races were not jealous. However, when they thought of the danger around the fire lotus, many people's hearts sank. How to get the heavenly legend? Someone asked in the heavenly dream jade. Soon, the important person from the heavenly palace gave a reply. That strand of heavenly legend had been refined by an expert of the divine dragon race back then. It had been sealed here for countless years, causing the life forms around the lava lake to have a trace of that strand of heavenly legend's characteristics. As long as he killed the creatures here, he would be able to fuse the strange energy of these creatures into his body. He would be able to create a resistance that would allow him to better block the attack of the airflow. As long as they fused with more of that aura, they might be able to fuse with that strand of heavenly legend's aura. So that's how it is. No wonder I felt a strange aura from that heavenly legend's aura when I killed that heavenly legend's heavenly legend. Someone muttered. After that, the heavenly legends of various races began to search for the life forms in the heart of the heavenly dragon race's mother planet to kill. A huge battle immediately broke out in this space. On the floating mountain peak, the heavenly legend wailed as it was besieged by many heavenly legends. On the lava lake, many heavenly legends were bombarding the lava lake, forcing out the life forms inside and fighting them. It seems Bone Devil was right. Looking at the dreamy space, even the big shots of the heavenly palace had spoken. Lu Ming was certain that even the heavenly palace was wary of this wisp of air current. Lu Ming, do you want this strand of qi? At that moment, Guamo asked directly. Why wouldn't I want such a treasure? Lu Ming replied. I can tell you that even if you manage to refine this strand of forbidden energy, your fighting strength will not immediately explode. It will not explode to the point where the heavenly palace is afraid of you. That's impossible. After fusing with the taboo energy, you'll have the legendary taboo body. It'll just raise your talent to a shocking level. What the heavenly palace fears is actually this kind of talent. Therefore, once you fuse with the taboo energy, your battle prowess will not skyrocket, but you will be on the opposite side of the heavenly palace. I've heard of a legend. A forbidden body is a heaven-defying person. Guamo said. Heaven-defying heaven refers to the heavenly palace. Lu Ming asked. That's right. Therefore, once you fuse with the taboo energy, you will definitely be on the opposite side of the heavenly palace and become an enemy of the heavenly palace. You have to think about this carefully. Guamo said. Lu Ming pondered. The heavenly palace was the ruler of the primitive universe. Becoming an enemy of the heavenly palace was something that no one wanted to see or face. Because in the primitive universe, becoming an enemy of the heavenly palace was equivalent to courting death. Even a powerful race like the divine dragon race was annihilated. However, Lu Ming quickly made a decision. Chapter 3657. I've decided to fuse. Lu Ming said. Yes, even if he would end up on the opposite side of the heavenly palace and become an enemy of the heavenly palace, he would still fuse. Because Lu Ming had a feeling that the greatest enemy of Xian Yinqing's family in his previous life was very likely the heavenly palace. Therefore, even if he did not fuse with the taboo energy, he would most likely end up on the opposite side of the Heavenly Palace and become an enemy of the Heavenly Palace. Therefore, there was nothing to consider. Kid, you're really daring, Bone Demon said, but Lu Ming clearly felt that Bone Demon seemed to be relieved, as if he was expecting Lu Ming's reply. This made Lu Ming somewhat curious. Could it be that Bone Demon had a grudge against the Heavenly Palace? But kid, let me tell you. Although you want to fuse with the taboo energy, the success rate is still very small, very, very small. Bone Demon said again. Even if you kill the creatures here and fuse with the energy to create resistance, it still won't work. Lu Ming asked. Yes, the people of the Heavenly Palace let the geniuses of various races fuse with the taboo energy. They're just trying it out with the lives of these people. Let me tell you, your success rate is only 0.999%. Bone Demon said. Stop. Lu Ming hurriedly stopped him, cold sweat dripping down his forehead. You're looking down on me too much. It's not that I'm looking down on you, but in history, anyone who can successfully fuse with the taboo energy is an unparalleled peerless genius. Their talent is unimaginably high and they also have great luck. They're the main characters of an era. You're still far from that. Bone Demon was not stingy with his attacks on Lu Ming. I'm also the main character of an era, okay? Lu Ming retorted. You. Bone Demon sneered. All right. Lu Ming smiled brightly. He was just bragging. He knew himself well and did not think that he was the main character of an era. Try your best but don't have too much hope, Guillemot said. Lu Ming nodded, then rushed in a certain direction and landed on a stretch of lava. Voila! Suddenly, the magma churned and a giant fish that was more than 10 meters long dashed out. It opened its huge mouth and swallowed Lu Ming in one gulp. I have been waiting for you. Lu Ming smiled and thrust out his tyrant god spear. This sort of gargantuan fish was very strong. Its entire body was covered in fiery red scales. Its defensive power was very shocking. Ordinary third-level Divine Lord geniuses would find it very hard to deal with this sort of gargantuan fish alone. However, against Lu Ming, there was only one outcome for Juyu, and that was to be killed instantly. Puff! The tyrant god spear pierced through the giant fish's head. A burst of black smoke actually emerged from the tyrant god spear. Then, a scorching aura flowed along the tyrant god spear and surged towards Lu Ming's palm. Such a high temperature. Lu Ming didn't expect that after killing this kind of giant fish, the other party could still burst out with such terrifying heat to counterattack him. Although this temperature might be dangerous to others, it was nothing to Lu Ming. Lu Ming circulated his divine energy and poured it into the tyrant god spear, forcing back that scorching aura. Then the tyrant god spear shook, and the giant fish's body split apart. A mysterious aura spread. This aura was somewhat similar to the taboo energy, but it was countless times fainter. That was because these giant fish had lived here for so long that they were too close to the taboo energy. Generation after generation, their bodies carried a trace of the taboo energy's aura. It was the same for those flame birds. They first fused with this kind of aura. The more they fused with it, the more resistant they would become to the taboo energy. Later on, fusing with the taboo energy would be easier. Lu Ming directly sucked in that strand of aura into Lu Ming's mouth. That strand of aura fused into his body. Afterward, Lu Ming released his spiritual senses and scanned the magma lake, looking for living creatures in the magma lake. Found it. Lu Ming's eyes brightened and he thrust out his spear. A spear light stabbed into the lava lake. Boom. The lava exploded, and another giant fish rushed out of the lava lake. This fish was even larger than the one Lu Ming had just killed. It was over 20 meters long. As soon as it charged out, it opened its mouth and shot out a fiery red arrow at Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming swept out his spear and hit the fiery red arrow. There was a violent explosion. Buzz! The tyrant god spear buzzed. That fiery red arrow's power was shockingly strong. Swish! Seeing Lu Ming block it, the giant fish opened its mouth again. This time, it shot out 7 fiery red arrows at Lu Ming. Lu Ming stepped on the wind-extinguishing boots, and his figure flashed, dodging the 7 arrows. He appeared above the giant fish's head and stabbed out with his spear. The giant fish's body was also pierced, and it died on the spot. Then a strange aura appeared and was absorbed by Lu Ming. Yes, it's even denser than the previous one, Lu Ming muttered. He found that this aura was a bit denser than the previous one. Could it be that the stronger the giant fish, the denser that aura would be? Next, Lu Ming began experimenting. He constantly searched for giant fish to kill. As expected, the stronger the giant fish's cultivation base, the denser that aura would be. This was the core of the dragon race's mother planet. It was extremely vast. Lu Ming found a secluded place to quietly kill these giant fish. He wasn't worried that others would be the first to fuse with the taboo energy. According to the Bone Devil, the chances of fusing with the taboo energy were inconceivably low. If you weren't a peerless genius, you wouldn't be able to succeed. So it was extremely difficult for the various races' heavenly geniuses to succeed. Furthermore, the more of this aura fused with the giant fish, the higher the success rate. So Lu Ming wanted to fuse with as much of this aura as possible. At this time, the various races' heavenly geniuses had all scattered to capture the life forms here. There were fierce battles everywhere. It was very difficult for ordinary heavenly geniuses to kill these giant fish. So there were constantly geniuses dying in the giant fish's mouths and being devoured. Time quickly passed. A few hours later, Lu Ming had already killed over a dozen giant fish and fused with over a dozen strange auras. What? Suddenly, huge waves surged in the magma lake. Streams of magma danced like long snakes, entangling Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. He soared into the air, dodging the lava's attack. What? The lava continued to surge. Then a huge creature appeared. This was also a giant fish, but it was over 100 meters long. It's so big. Lu Ming's eyes widened. Instead of being shocked, he was delighted. For such a huge fish to contain such a unique aura, it must be very rich. The giant fish let out a strange cry. Its huge body twisted and it charged out of the lava lake. It soared into the sky and charged at Lu Ming. Its entire body glowed and streaks of fiery red light blades slashed toward Lu Ming. The power was astonishing. Chapter 3658. Streaks of fiery red light blades. The power was extremely astonishing, comparable to divine weapons. Lu Ming shook his spear, turning into several dozen spear lights, colliding with these light blades. Berserk force stirred up magma waves, exploding several hundred meters high. Bang! Bang! In an instant, both sides clashed several dozen moves. Several spear lights broke through, stabbing into the giant fish's body. It actually emitted the sound of metal clashing, sparks flying everywhere. Lu Ming's spear lights actually did not break the giant fish's scales, only leaving behind a few marks on them. Strength isn't bad. Lu Ming's gaze flashed. This giant fish's cultivation was at least equivalent to a 6th-level Divine Lord powerhouse. However, ordinary 6th-level Divine Lords did not enter Lu Ming's eyes. They could only be considered not bad. The giant fish let out a strange cry, its entire body shining. Opening its mouth, fiery red arrows flew out. These arrows practically condensed into substance, sparkling and translucent, piercing the air, making the air explode continuously. The power of this arrow was much stronger than the arrow shot by the giant fish he had encountered before. Kill! Lu Ming shouted loudly, stimulating the power of 8 drops of primordial divine blood. Man and spear becoming one, charging over. Bang! All of the arrows were blown apart by Lu Ming's spear. The spear light did not stop, stabbing into the giant fish's head. Under the situation where Lu Ming's nearly all-out attack, the giant fish's body directly exploded, its bones shattered. With Lu Ming's present combat strength, he could even fight with Jin Yan. Jin Yan's cultivation was also 6th-level Divine Lord. But he was a monster among monsters. He was absolutely not what ordinary 6th-level Divine Lords could compare to. The difference was huge. This giant fish was also 6th-level Divine Lord, but it could only be considered ordinary. Even in an environment like magma, its combat strength was somewhat increased. But under Lu Ming's nearly all-out attack, it could only be insta-killed. The giant fish exploded. A strange aura emerged. Lu Ming was just about to absorb this strand of chi when suddenly, a fierce whistling sound came from behind him. Several vines swept towards him at an astonishing speed. A few of them swept towards Lu Ming, while the others targeted that wisp of aura. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as he activated his wind-extinguishing boots. His body dashed forward, and as he did so, he sucked in the wisp of chi. At the same time, he dodged the attacks of the vines and turned around to look behind him. "It's you." Lu Ming's eyes flashed with killing intent. The one who attacked him was none other than the Vine Tribe prodigy who had teamed up with Jin Yan and the others to deal with him. He was an extremely powerful monster. Your reaction is quite fast. The Vine Race Freak's eyes were cold and his snake-like hair danced in the wind. "You're courting death," shouted Lu Ming as he charged at the Vine Race Freak. This person had repeatedly attacked him. In Lu Ming's heart, he had already sentenced him to death. Whoosh, whoosh. The vine monster waved his hands and the vines were like long whips, sweeping toward Lu Ming. Each of the vines was astonishingly powerful. Boom. Lu Ming shot out his spear, but this time his spear wasn't aimed at the vine race freak, but at the lava below. When the attack landed, the lava exploded, creating a wave of lava that was thousands of meters high. It surged towards the prodigy of the vine tribe. The vines that swept out were covered by the lava and immediately started burning. The vine race freak's expression changed, and he frantically retreated. The greatest weakness of plant life was that they were afraid of fire. Only a very small number of plant life forms were not afraid of fire, such as the divine sun tree and the raging flame sky bamboo. However, this vine race freak was clearly afraid of fire. The moment he retreated, Lu Ming gave chase, and a resplendent spear light shot towards him. Boom. At this moment, the air beside him shook violently and there was a huge explosion. A golden fist as huge as a mountain smashed toward Lu Ming. "Jin Yan!" shouted Lu Ming. Lu Ming didn't even need to look to know that the one attacking him was Jin Yan. Jin Yan's combat power was very shocking. Even Lu Ming did not dare to be careless. He could only change the direction of his attack at the last minute. The tyrannical god spear turned midway and swept out toward Jin Yan's fist. Boom. Their attacks collided and then Lu Ming was forced back. Of course, Jin Yan was also forced back. "Lu Ming, this will be your burial ground." Jin Yan stared at Lu Ming, his golden eyes flickering with killing intent. "You think you can kill me with just the two of you? Aren't you a bit too naive?" sneered Lu Ming. Even if he wasn't a match for the two of them, escaping was still very easy. "What if you add me in?" Another cold voice rang out. Following that, a youth with 8 arms attacked. His 8 palms were shining brightly, as if he was preparing some kind of powerful move. That was the multi-hand race freak. However, this matter wasn't over. "How lively." Another voice rang out. Looking in the direction of the voice, 3 figures appeared at the same time. These 3 people were clearly from different races, but they came at the same time. One of them made Lu Ming extremely wary. This person had 2 wolf heads. He was the 2-headed wolf race's freak, a peerless genius at the 7th level of the Divine Lord realm. The other 2 weren't simple. They were also existences that had entered the dragon race's mother planet over 30 years ago. A total of 6 experts surrounded Lu Ming vaguely. Lu Ming's expression sank. This was troublesome. He didn't expect that the other side would send 6 peak freaks at once. They wanted to kill him in one fell swoop, making it impossible for him to escape. "Everyone, let's work together. This kid has mastered many kinds of origin secret techniques. He has a speed-type origin secret technique that is extremely fast. If we don't work together, I'm afraid he'll escape," Jin Yan said. Of course, he was talking to the 3 monstrous geniuses from the 2-headed wolf race. This was because the 2-headed wolf race's trio didn't make a move the last time. However, this time, Jin Yan wanted to get the 2-headed wolf race's trio to attack together. This way, no matter how fast Lu Ming was, he wouldn't be able to escape. Only death awaited him. "You want to kill me because of a condition from the winged race's almighty, right? However, the winged race's almighty only has one condition. If you all work together to kill me, how are we going to split the reward?" Lu Ming spoke, wanting to drive a wedge between the other party. As long as they didn't work together, or if the 2-headed wolf race's almighty didn't make a move, he was confident that he could escape. As expected, these people's eyes flickered. Clearly they were thinking about Lu Ming's words. There were 6 of them. If they worked together to kill Lu Ming, who would get the credit? Who would get the winged race's almighty's condition? "Everyone, I'll be frank. I have something that I need the help of the winged race's almighty. If we kill this kid, the winged race's almighty's condition will belong to me. However, I will compensate everyone with treasures of the same value," Jin Yan said. Chapter 3659. Treasures of the same value. The eyes of the 2-headed wolf race's geniuses flashed with doubt. "That's right. If we work together to kill this person, we'll split the merit equally. For example, we can split the winged man race's offer into 6 portions, each of us taking 1 portion. Then if I obtain the winged man race's offer, I'll give you the treasures of the same value as the other 5 portions. How about it?" "If you don't believe me, I can swear on my life essence," Jin Yan explained. He really did have something to ask the winged man race's expert for help. Therefore he had to kill Lu Ming. "Alright, I agree." "I also agree." The multi-hand race's genius and the vine race's genius thought for a moment before agreeing. As for the 2-headed wolf race's genius and the other 2 youths, they hesitated for a moment before agreeing as well. Boom. The 6 of them reached a consensus and 6 powerful auras pressed down on Lu Ming. "Lu Ming, I've already said that this will be your burial ground. Jin Yan's body emitted a golden light as he stepped on the lava and pressed down on Lu Ming. At the same time, the other 5 geniuses did the same. Their auras intertwined like an impenetrable wall, blocking all openings and leaving Lu Ming with nowhere to run. "Then let's fight," Lu Ming muttered. Divine light shone brightly as he raised his strength to the limit. Brr. With a dragon roar, Lu Ming's body rapidly grew, turning into a huge primordial divine dragon. At the same time, divine light shone, and various origin secret techniques appeared. Although only 4 of them had severed their second shackle, and the other 7 had only severed their first shackle, their power was limited. But now that he had to go all out, Lu Ming naturally used his full strength. Every bit of strength he could increase was a bit of strength. In any case, he had the quantifying character art, so he wasn't afraid of exhausting his divine power. Kill. Jin Yin roared and took the lead to attack. However, right at that moment, a beam of incomparably sharp divine light appeared in the distance. It pierced through the void and slashed towards Jin Yin. Jin Yin was startled. He hadn't expected someone to launch a sneak attack at this time. He hurriedly turned around and punched out. His golden fist collided with the divine light that was slashing at him, causing a violent explosion. The divine light was successfully blocked, but Jin Yan's body was forced to retreat. "Who is it?" Jin Yan roared. What answered him was a dragon's roar. In that direction, a divine dragon was flying over. This divine dragon had 9 dragon claws growing from its abdomen. It was very similar to Lu Ming's current primordial divine dragon form. "Aoguan," Lu Ming blurted out. The 9-clawed divine dragon was none other than Aoguan. A 9-clawed dragon. The eyes of the 2-headed wolf race freak and the vine race freak lit up. A 3rd-level divine lord 9-clawed dragon dares to come and die? Truly courting death. One of the geniuses snorted coldly as he leaped into the air and charged towards Aoguan. Before he even arrived, a resplendent sword light had already enveloped Aoguan. This freak was also very powerful. With a 6th-level divine lord cultivation, his battle strength was not weaker than Jin Yan's. Aoguan roared as he stepped into the air with his dragon claws and engaged in a fierce battle with this person. Lu Ming discovered that Aoguan's cultivation had also risen to the 3rd-level divine lord realm. Moreover, his battle strength was even more astonishing. After exchanging a dozen blows with this freak, he wasn't at a disadvantage at all. Previously, Lu Ming had obtained more than 50 heavenly source fruits. Aoguan had also obtained more than 50. Evidently, after refining them, he had also made a major breakthrough in his origin source secret technique. It wasn't the 2nd severed shackle but the 3rd. "Let's kill this Lu Ming first," Jin Yin hurriedly said, afraid that the situation would change if they delayed. However, there was already a change. The dragon's roar resounded once again. Lu Ming saw that not far away, several more divine dragons were charging over. There were a total of 6. 2 9-clawed dragons and 4 8-clawed divine dragons. This greatly surprised Lu Ming. He didn't expect that other than Aoguan, there would be 2 9-clawed dragons. What? Jin Yin and the others were also greatly shocked. Brr. One of the silver 9-clawed dragons roared and stomped its dragon claws, directly charging towards the double-headed wolf race freak. As for the 3rd 9-clawed dragon, it charged towards Jin Yin. The 4 8-clawed divine dragons joined forces and charged towards the 3 freaks from the multi-hand race and the vine race. A chaotic battle immediately broke out. And how could Lu Ming miss such an opportunity? Kill? Lu Ming let out a long howl. He stared at a genius and charged toward him. Lu Ming targeted the vine race freak. Lu Ming directly controlled the sun and pressed it towards the other party. Rays of sunlight, along with scorching flames, pressed towards the vine race prodigy. At the same time, Lu Ming's dragon claws continuously stomped on the magma lake, stirring up thousands of layers of waves that crazily pressed towards the vine race prodigy. Immediately, the vine race prodigy was covered in flames. He unleashed all his strength, wanting to extinguish the flames. Ding-ling-ling, the bell of evil rang and the soul attack was launched. At the same time, the Gate of Domination, Overlord Spear, and other attacks charged towards the vine race prodigy. If the vine race prodigy was outside, his combat strength would not be weaker than Jin Yan or Lu Ming. But here, in the magma lake, he was greatly suppressed and his strength was weakened. In addition, the sun physique restrained him. At the same time, Lu Ming stirred up magma to bombard him, making him even more vulnerable. His strength was greatly reduced. He roared and barely blocked a few moves, but he was forced to retreat by Lu Ming. In a moment of carelessness, he was hit by Lu Ming's dragon claws. He coughed up blood and his face turned pale. Kill? Lu Ming's attacks were extremely violent. He transformed into the form of the primordial divine dragon and unleashed 100% of his strength. The Vine Race prodigy was completely suppressed by Lu Ming. After a few moves, he was hit again and his chest was pierced by the Overlord's spear. Then the Gate of Domination pressed down and smashed towards the other party. The Vine Race prodigy transformed into a huge vine and waved it like an octopus's tentacles, wanting to stop the Gate of Domination. But he was heavily injured and couldn't stop it. Under the suppression of the Gate of Domination, his body fell into the magma lake. With a boom, the huge vine body fell into the magma lake. The Vine Race prodigy let out a miserable cry. His body was about to burst into flames. But Lu Ming didn't stop there. He swooped down, his 9 claws clawing at the Vine Race prodigy as he charged into the magma lake. Boom. The two sides entered the magma lake and fought fiercely. However, the Vine Race prodigy was greatly suppressed by the magma lake. As for Lu Ming, although he was also somewhat suppressed, it was clearly insignificant compared to the other party. The other party was no match for Lu Ming at all. The vines were torn apart by Lu Ming. In the end, Lu Ming's dragon claws grabbed the other party's torso and tore with all his might. The body of the Vine Clan monster was torn into pieces and its soul was destroyed by Lu Ming. Its body burned fiercely in the magma and turned into ashes. Chapter 3660. The Vine Race's prodigy was completely killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming rushed out of the lava lake. The battle above was still ongoing. Although Ao Guan was only a 3rd-level divine lord, he was locked in a fierce battle with that prodigy. Although he was slightly at a disadvantage after exchanging many moves, he wouldn't be defeated for the time being. The other 9-clawed dragon's color was similar to Ao Guan's. His cultivation was stronger, reaching the peak of the 3rd-level divine lord realm. He was stronger and completely suppressed Jin Yan. If it wasn't for Jin Yan's amazing defense, he would have been defeated. As for the silver 9-clawed dragon, it had a mature body and was at the 4th-level divine lord realm. It was the strongest and fought with the 2-headed wolf race's prodigy. It was difficult to determine the victor. One had to know that the 2-headed wolf race was a 7th-level divine lord. Furthermore, they were monstrous geniuses, 3 levels higher than the silver 9-clawed divine dragon. Yet, they were actually unable to do anything to the other party. It could be seen just how terrifying the 9-clawed divine dragon's combat strength was. There were also 4 other 8-clawed divine dragons. They joined forces to fight the multi-hand race's prodigy and the other prodigy, but they were at a disadvantage. Seeing Lu Ming come out and not sensing the Vine Race's prodigy's aura, everyone's expression changed. Boom. Both sides exchanged a series of blows. Then the 2-headed wolf race's prodigies quickly retreated and gathered together. The 2-headed wolf race's prodigy, the multi-hand race's prodigy, and Jin Yan's group of 5 gathered together. The divine dragon race's prodigies also gathered together. Not good. They're sending a voice transmission to call the others over. Lu Ming suddenly reminded them. Because he noticed that Jin Yan and the others' glabella were glowing. They were clearly using the Dream Divine Jade to send a voice transmission. These weren't the only prodigies who entered the dragon race's mother planet more than 30 years ago. There were even more. They had all come to the lava lake area. If they all came, Lu Ming, Ao Guan, and the others wouldn't be enough. Let's retreat first. The silver 9-clawed dragon spoke. Its voice was crisp and pleasant. It was actually the voice of a young woman. Brother Lu, come with us. Ao Guan sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. With a twist of his body, he followed Ao Guan and the others in a certain direction. Although their combined strength was slightly stronger than the 2-headed wolf tribe's group, they still wouldn't be able to take them down if they joined forces to defend. Lu Ming was able to kill the Vine Race freak because he was restrained by the environment here. On the other hand, Jin Yan and the others were not that easy to kill. Not only would they fail to kill him, but they would also attract the attention of other geniuses. At that time they would not be able to leave. Hold them back, don't let them escape. The 2-headed wolf race freak roared and chased after Lu Ming and the others. It was the same for Jin Yan and the others. There were 3 9-clawed dragons and 4 8-clawed divine dragons here. This was a bounty offered by the Angel Tribe, the Blood Tribe, and other major tribes. If he could kill them, the rewards would be extremely shocking. The reward of a 9-clawed dragon would probably not be lower than that of Lu Ming. Therefore, they didn't want to let Lu Ming and the others leave just like that. As long as they could hold off Lu Ming and the others, once the other freaks arrived, Lu Ming and the others would definitely die. Roar. At this moment, the silver 9-clawed divine dragon let out a loud roar. In the next moment, The lava lake below seemed to be boiling as it surged and churned continuously. Next, one huge fish after another appeared. These huge fish didn't attack Lu Ming and the others. Instead, they charged at Jin Yan and the others. It can even control the huge fish here. Lu Ming was deeply curious about this silver nine-clawed dragon. Let's go. The silver nine-clawed dragon spoke. They increased their speed and rushed forward. As for the two-headed wolf race freaks, they were entangled by the huge fish and couldn't break out of the encirclement. They could only watch as Lu Ming and the others left. Not long after, they lost track of Lu Ming and the others. Damn it! The two-headed wolf race freaks roared. They crazily hunted down those huge fish. Lu Ming followed Ao Guan and the rest. They flew all the way, bypassing many mountains that were suspended in the air. They only stopped after flying for an unknown distance. Lu Ming put away the primordial divine blood and transformed back into his human form. As for Ao Guan and the others, their bodies also shrunk and transformed back into their human forms. The silver nine-clawed dragon was indeed a woman. It transformed into a young and beautiful woman wearing silver scale armor. She was very beautiful. Brother Ao Guan, thank you for saving me this time. Lu Ming cupped his fists towards Ao Guan and the others. You're welcome. You saved me last time. Although you used the heavenly source fruit to offset it, since we met again, there's no reason to leave you in the lurch. Ao Guan smiled faintly. These people are. Lu Ming looked at the others. Let me introduce you. This is Ao Cheng, my good brother. Ao Guan first pointed at the young man who looked similar to him. This young man was a nine-clawed dragon. Through Ao Guan's introduction, he was actually Ao Guan's younger brother. This is. Then Ao Guan introduced the 4 8-clawed divine dragons one by one. Finally, he introduced the silver 9-clawed dragon. This is Princess Ao Yen, the daughter of a dragon king of the Dragon Palace. Ao Guan said. Princess. Lu Ming was shocked. He did not expect this to be the princess of the dragon race. No wonder Ao Guan and the others seemed to listen to her orders. These divine dragons were all existences from dozens of stellar years ago. Like Ao Guan, they were sealed and only came out recently. Brother Lu is really amazing. As a human, you're actually able to cultivate the primordial divine dragon body and so many drops of primordial divine blood. Ao Yen is impressed. The princess of the dragon race smiled gracefully. Princess is too kind. Lu Ming was just lucky. Lu Ming smiled. Brother Lu is too humble. Ao Yen smiled faintly. She did not think that one could reach Lu Ming's level just because of good luck. In fact, Lu Ming's battle strength had surprised her. The nine-clawed dragon was known as the strongest monster of the divine dragon race and was extremely rare. There were not many of them when the divine dragon race was at its peak. Needless to say, there were not many people in the universe who could compete with the nine-clawed dragon in a battle of the same level. Only the peerless monsters of the angel race, soul race, blood race, and other races that were as famous as the divine dragon race could compete with the nine-clawed dragon. On the other hand, Lu Ming was merely a human. His combat power was definitely not inferior to that of the nine-clawed divine dragon. In fact, he seemed to be even stronger. This was simply too astonishing. Princess, what should we do now? Ao Guan asked. Do you know what that strand of air that the various clans want is? Ao Yen did not answer Ao Guan's question. Instead, she asked such a question. Ao Guan and the others shook their heads, indicating that they did not know. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He seemed to be deep in thought but did not speak. I don't know what that wisp of energy is, but I know that it's definitely a treasure. It was listed as the top secret of the dragon race by my father and the others. Ao Yen said. Ao Guan and the others were shocked. Chapter 3661. Ao Yan's father, the palace master of the Divine Dragon Palace, was one of the strongest existences of the Divine Dragon race. For him to be classified as the top secret of the Divine Dragon race, just how shocking was that? Furthermore, I'm guessing that the reason why the various races, including the Heavenly Palace, attacked us back then is very likely related to that strand of energy. Ao Yen continued. What? Ao Guan and the others widened their eyes in shock. The reason the Heavenly Palace and the various races attacked the Divine Dragon race and led to the destruction of the Divine Dragon race was actually related to that strand of energy? Just what was that strand of energy? It was definitely unimaginable. Is that so? Although Lu Ming pretended to be shocked on the surface, many thoughts were running through his mind. It seemed that Ao Yen didn't know that strand of energy was a taboo. After Ao Guan and the others digested it, Ao Yen continued, I once heard my father mention that anyone who can successfully fuse with that strand of energy will undergo a transformation. Their talent will reach an unimaginable level, and when they grow in the future they might even be able to threaten the Heavenly Palace. Without a doubt, this was another huge bomb that stunned Ao Guan and the others. What was the Heavenly Palace? The ruler of the great desolate universe, a supreme existence. Although the top 10 races of the great desolate universe were incomparably powerful, they couldn't withstand a single blow from the Heavenly Palace. For example, the Divine Dragon race was extremely powerful back then, but they still couldn't threaten the Heavenly Palace. But if they could fuse with that strand of energy, they could threaten the Heavenly Palace in the future. What kind of treasure was that? The eyes of Ao Guan and the others lit up. Right now, the various races outside are clearly trying to fuse with that strand of energy. What should we do? We can't just watch them fuse with it, right? Ao Guan was somewhat anxious. Don't worry, they won't be able to fuse with it. Ao Yan's expression was calm. If it was that easy, my Divine Dragon race would have already fused with it back then. In reality, fusing with that strand of energy is extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult for the various races' geniuses to do it. They're currently hunting those giant fish. They're just trying to fuse with that strand of energy within the fish to create resistance and increase the success rate. But the success rate isn't very high. Ao Yan said. With that, Ao Guan and the others breathed a sigh of relief. However, they were still worried. Princess, we have to be careful. What if they fuse together? Ao Qing frowned and was still very worried. That's why we can't be passive. We have to take action. That strand of chi is a treasure of our dragon clan. Only we are qualified to fuse with it. However, with our current state, fusing with it is extremely difficult. The success rate is extremely low. Furthermore, it's extremely dangerous. If we're not careful, we could die. Ao Yan said. Then we can also hunt those giant fishes and increase our resistance. Ao Guan suggested. However, Ao Yan shook her head. Hunting the giant fish is too slow. I have a better place to go. It will allow me to develop resistance faster and increase the success rate of fusing with that strand of chi. Ao Yan said. Since there is such a place, let's go quickly. Ao Guan said. However, Ao Yan did not move. She looked at Lu Ming. Brother Lu, do you want to join us? Ao Yan said. Sure. Lu Ming nodded. He had already made up his mind to fuse with the taboo power. He would give it a try. If it could increase the success rate, he would not reject it. Brother Lu, you can join us. However, I have a condition. Ao Yan said. What condition? Lu Ming asked. That strand of chi is a supreme treasure of our dragon clan. If Brother Lu succeeds in fusing with it, you will become an enemy of the Heavenly Palace in the future and avenge our dragon clan. After saying that, Ao Yan looked at Lu Ming with bright eyes. However, she did not think that Lu Ming would succeed. That strand of chi had been refined by the ancestors of the dragon clan for countless years. Logically speaking, the dragon clan should be more confident in fusing with it. The reason why she brought Lu Ming along was because she felt that Lu Ming's talent was not bad. Moreover, Lu Ming had saved Ao Guan. It was difficult for her to ask Lu Ming to leave directly. Therefore, she said that to let Lu Ming know the difficulty and retreat. Alright, I promise you. I can swear on my life origin. Lu Ming nodded. What? As soon as Lu Ming said that, Ao Yan, Ao Guan, Ao Qing, and the others widened their eyes. Their faces were filled with shock and disbelief. Ao Yan was especially surprised. She had thought that Lu Ming would definitely refuse and leave. What was her condition? Who would dare to become an enemy of the Heavenly Palace? Ordinary people would be scared to death. She had thought that Lu Ming would definitely not dare to agree. She had not expected that Lu Ming would agree without hesitation. Brother Lu, I'm not just saying that casually. Ao Yan looked seriously at Lu Ming. Lu Ming immediately swore on his life origin. Lu Ming naturally would not hesitate. He had already known that fusing with the taboo power meant that he would become an enemy of the Heavenly Palace. He was just going with the flow. Good, Brother Lu is really brave. Ao Guan laughed heartily. Since Lu Ming dared to become an enemy of the Heavenly Palace, then whether or not Lu Ming succeeded, he had gained the favor of the dragon race's heavenly geniuses. The Heavenly Palace had been behind the destruction of the dragon race. The remaining heavenly geniuses of the dragon race were absolutely irreconcilable with the Heavenly Palace. Ao Yan also carefully examined Lu Ming and said, Alright, then I'll take you to a place. Follow me. After saying that, Ao Yan plunged into the lava. Ao Guan, Ao Qing, and the others followed closely behind. Lu Ming was surprised. Could there be another world under the lava? Lu Ming did not hesitate. He covered his body with divine energy and also plunged into the lava. To tell the truth, the temperature of the lava here was shockingly high. Ordinary divine sovereigns would definitely not be able to withstand it and would be burned to ashes. Even the vine race's heavenly geniuses had been greatly affected. One could imagine how high the temperature was. As soon as he entered the lava, Lu Ming felt a powerful pressure. At the same time, a terrifyingly high temperature spread. Lu Ming felt like he was in a furnace. In such an environment, even with Lu Ming's current cultivation base, he wouldn't be able to withstand it for long. Ao Guan and the others also did their best to resist it. Then they followed Ao Yin down. After descending a certain distance, they changed direction and went to the side. After a while, Lu Ming suddenly felt that he had passed through a barrier. Thereafter, the high temperature outside disappeared without a trace. There really is another world. Lu Ming's eyes brightened. This was a passage. Both sides of the passage were filled with lava, but there was not the slightest bit of lava in this passage. They followed the lava for several tens of thousands of miles before reaching the end. When they exited the passage, they were met with another expanse of lava. After following the lava for a certain distance, they arrived at another passage. After repeating this several times, Lu Ming muttered to himself that this really was hidden.